was going to say, wait until I start doing karaoke, then I won't be live anymore.
What? Why?
Because you're going to think that this is Julia's new book.
Okay, buddy.
All right, what are we talking about?
I'm going to surprise and delight you.
Okay, amazing. That's awesome. That suits me. Are we filming?
We are.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey. Welcome to Nashville.
So Mark and I become fast friends. Probably too fast.
Maybe too fast. If my head this morning was anything to go by, maybe too
we
fast.
had a nice evening last night.
Nice evening.
Tootsie's was lovely. Yeah. Glad to be there.
Yeah.
So for the world, the few people that don't know you, just a few, can you give a little context on you, where you're from, what you're doing, and how you got into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Mark. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of HackerJob. We founded HackerJob 10 years ago now. I was in my final year at college or university in London. My co-founder had this insight that like the way hiring was done by traditional staffing agencies was absolutely bonkers, and could we build a skills-based approach to hiring software engineers way before LinkedIn made skills-based hiring cool.
Yes.
And we iterated a bunch. It's been an incredible journey. We've raised a fair amount of money from investors. 2.5 years ago, I moved to New York. Managed to keep the British accent, but very much enjoying US life to scale the business here. And more recently, we've just rolled out a bunch of new products, leveraging some really cool technology to help companies hire beyond tech, which has been really exciting.
And I'm a fan. So I mean, just give everybody my bias. I'm a fan. You're the triplets. Why now? And had that been a part of your plan, or is it a pivot because of how quickly things are changing?
It's such a brilliant question. No one's asked me it that way before, actually. We were super fortunate. We closed a $25 million investment in March 2023. That was like 4 or 5 months after ChatGPT came out.
Yeah.
And so very quickly, we ran a small internal hackathon leveraging large language models and was like, does this change anything? And bear in mind, it's easy to forget this now. 12 months prior, Web3 and crypto was all the rage.
Right.
And there were all of these TA solutions that were like Web3 and crypto and blockchain based. And so I think you have to be kind of naturally skeptical as a founder of like, is this all hype or is this actually going to change something?
Right.
But we very quickly saw that like a lot of the technology we had built was around matching talent to jobs, and large language models fundamentally changed how we could do that.
Right.
And so we made a lot of mistakes, but decided to rebuild the core platform from scratch. And that culminated in HackerJob Intelligence last summer. And our view's always been that if you invest in the matching layer and you get that really, really well, then you can build the agents on top. And so it's always been our goal to build agents. Candidly, if you had asked me the summer of 2024, when we released HackerJob Intelligence, would they be these agents? No.
Yeah.
I was actually a little bit skeptical on voice, and I didn't think that the technology was there.
Yeah.
And now 2 of our agents are entirely voice-based. And so
Yeah.
I think that you have to be
And
willing.
you're won over.
Yeah.
You've been won over.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
And you have to, I've said this before, in this environment where things are changing so quickly, you have to be comfortable saying, I used to believe, but now I believe.
Yes.
And you have to have that fluidity and mental plasticity. So yes, HackerJob Intelligence has been very deliberate. The agents on top has been a lot of reaction to both the technology involved in it and speaking to customers.
So you're first of all, congratulations. I haven't said that as intentionally as I should have before this. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You are not, now, I'm going to say this from an outsider's perspective. You are not the only option on the block.
For sure.
We walk around here earlier, check everything out. Someone could argue, well, they do a bit of that, they do a bit of that, they do a bit of that. Is the market too crowded?
Yeah, 100%. And clearly, I've done RecFest for a long time. I've done the 3 in the US, and there's a bunch of new vendors here this year. And my suspicion is some of them will go on and be the next Paradox in smart recruiters and get acquired. And some of them won't be here in 2 years. And that's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
I think it's a very noisy time. I was at HR Tech a few weeks ago where we also made fast friends. And, I felt sorry for bluntly practitioners right now because every vendor's claiming the same thing. And it's really hard to see what's actually going on. I think the thing that we've got that's pretty unique is 10 years of data.
Yeah.
And data's really, really powerful when it
Yes.
comes to AI and large
Yeah.
language models. Like we've been able to fine tune our own models. We've been able to leverage a lot of that data in a really powerful way. And secondly, we already operate at meaningful scale. We partner with American Express and Comcast and Disney. And so when we build something, we can deploy it quite quickly. So Chase, our AI recruiter, is doing 15,000 conversations a week. That's just like an incredible amount of data that we're then able to
That's
use and
right.
iterate and improve. So for sure, it's crowded. It's very, very noisy. And I think that we'll see that change over the next 12 months as customers start adopting this technology and start sharing their stories.
So do you feel like from a founder perspective? I mean, 10 years ago, being a founder of a tech company, and today being a founder of a tech company, it's like really, really different. Um, we may have folks that are one of the things that I've noticed this year is in a couple of different places, the incubation area, startup kind of area. Uh, one, a little bit less in numbers. Two, uh, a lot. I mean, I was at one and four products in the same row were doing the same exact thing, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so this entrepreneurial consideration, the hunger might be there, but what you're solving for is kind of like what that one's doing and that one's doing right
Totally.
next to you, right?
Totally.
So that can become discouraging
Mhm.
to the creative process
Yeah,
because we need these entrepreneurs to
for sure.
approach it differently.
Sure.
So now you are almost in that mentor kind of role 10 years later. Almost. So some guy sitting next to you who's been at something for almost a year
Yeah.
and is just going out to see if he can raise some money. What are you saying to him?
Well, firstly, I don't see myself as a mentor. I see myself as a young buck that's still trying to learn. But
Yeah,
maybe I should
it's a
change that
lie. It's a
mindset.
lie.
Yeah, maybe I should change that mindset. Uh, what's really interesting is 10 years ago when I co-founded this business, there were 200 people in my class at King's College London, and I was maybe one of two people that went and founded a company. Right, everyone else went into banking,
Yeah.
went into maybe even big tech back then, consulting, etc. Fast forward 10 years, I suspect there's far more people that are becoming entrepreneurs, which I think is generally a good thing. Though what I would say is it's not for everyone,
No.
and I think that doing something for 10 years, doing anything for 10 years, teaches you a lot of resilience for it. And bluntly, if you're a year in and you're having self-doubts around fundraising, around these things, maybe you should say this isn't for me.
Yep.
And I actively encourage people not to go and fundraise and actually really understand what it is you're building, understand the game that you're playing. Because when you go and raise $25 million at hundreds of millions of dollars of valuation, you're making a commitment to sell the company one day or go IPO
Yep.
one day.
Yep.
And, I love this space, but there's not a lot of massive outcomes. And so I think being an entrepreneur has become cool. And that's good because I think we want more people creating companies, but I think naturally it will encourage people to start businesses that maybe a year in realize that's not for them. And that's also totally cool. But I don't think that any advice from me is going to help with your discouragement. Like
Right.
you have to have that inner conviction and belief.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's well said because I think everybody kind of wants to find my issue is always like this Shark Tank mentality that I watched the show and these dudes talked about what this young lady came in and presented this and Mark Cuban was like, I'll give you $100 million and that's such a small it's a fraction of a percent where something like that will happen. And so we sort of sell this dream a bit broader than we should because I think you're right. You're either IPO or you're getting acquired, and we're seeing a lot of acquisition, right, for that. Um, but but I will still make sure that I take a minute, and we've got a couple minutes left. That I take a minute though to talk about the average recruiter that's here, who isn't a part of those kinds of conversations on the IPO, on the acquisition side, on the approach side of things. They're looking to find tools that will help them do their work better, efficiently, with the right productivity. So, if you're a recruiter
Yeah.
and you're walking around here, what kinds of questions should they be asking?
Oh, that's such a great question. And a big shout out actually to the Career Crossroads guys. They've got an amazing online resource that you can download
Yeah.
that you should ask about AI vendors.
Yes.
Um,
And Jerry Crispin is here. We want
yes.
to make sure that
Yes.
Jerry's here. So when
Enjoying
you
some
see
nice
Jerry,
red wine
make sure
somewhere.
you bow appropriately when you see Jerry.
One of my favorite phrases in TA is like we all kind of fell into it, right? We all fell into recruiting, we all fell into TA.
Yes, sir.
But we didn't fall into TA to sift 5,000 applications a month. Like that is fundamentally not what we should be doing.
Right.
And so the back of my t-shirt today says AI plus human. And we're really excited about where can you apply AI to empower humans, not replace humans. And so if I'm a recruiter, the first thing I'm doing is like, what are the things that I'm uniquely good at that AI isn't? That's going to be stakeholder management. That's going to be communicating with hiring managers. That's going to be translating TA topics to business impact.
Yes.
And it's always going to be delivering that exceptional candidate experience, right? And so it's like, great, how can I free up my time of not sifting 1,000 resumes a week or 1,000 applications a week, that then I get to reallocate that time to the higher value tasks and drive a bigger business impact. Yeah. And my fear with speaking to both the average recruiter or TA leaders today is that everyone's talking about AI saving time. Not enough people are talking about how we're going to reallocate that time, because believe me, if you go to the CFO and say, hey, I saved 2,000 recruiting hours, they're going to say, your team's now half the size.
Absolutely
and so
correct.
I think we've really got to think about how we're reallocating that time.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that is well said. And, the other thing that I would just add to that is in the course of time, uh, there was a day when, because I have a couple of years on you, there was a day where I literally sat with a stack of resumes that came in and cover letters, stapled or in an envelope, and I'm opening envelopes, and I'm opening these, and I'm reviewing them, and I'm reviewing stacks of them. I've been in this world for 35 years. Now, while in some ways people can say, "Wow, that's a lot of time," but if you think about it, it's really not in terms of how much has changed in that process. So if you're a recruiter walking around, I think you need to be asking also some future of work questions as well, right? Because you've got a couple of years before the next thing could be happening.
Totally. And actually, I love this Jeff Bezos line, which is like, change is a constant, and what you need to bet on is what's going to stay the same. Right? And so actually, like, I believe we're still going to be hiring humans to do work. Right? Some people don't believe that, by the way. Some people believe that AI is going to take all the jobs,
Yeah,
right? I don't believe
I
that.
don't think so.
So if I believe that people are still going to need to get hired, and actually getting a new job is one of the most impactful life events that happens, which I think often we forget about when we see, sit in TA every single day,
Yep.
then how that experience is done is going to be really important. That doesn't matter if it's old school physical resumes, if it's now some AI voice agent,
Yep.
or whatever comes next, whatever
Yeah.
the next big breakthrough is. It's like we still want to do and create that incredible experience. And all AI is another tool to enable us to do that. And I think it's the most exciting tool because we can do things that weren't technically feasible before. But that's how I think we should view it, because it's not like in 5 years' time, we're probably talking about something different.
Yep.
Right? Or 10 years'
100%.
time, we're going to be talking about something different. And so it's not about like getting AI pilled and just understanding this.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, what is it that I want to optimize for?
AI pilled another new one. Mark, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you being here.
Dude, big shout out to Purple Acorn crew. And thank you so much for having me on, my man.
Anytime.
Peace and love. That was awesome. Thank you. Good jam forever.
Right? We got Panda Express. Okay. Joey, I got to talk to Joey, so he brought stuff. How are you? I have sunglasses on. Yes. Do you want? Okay. There's two drinks that they brought us as well.
Chug the whole
Right? Test. You good? Awesome. Hello, Internet. Uh, so we're here in the Purple Acorn tent with one of my favorite people in the world. I want to give you a chance, Omar, to tell everybody, because there are a few people that may not know who you are. Just a few. For me, though, obviously, who you are, what you do, and I want to ask you why job picks? Why are you doing that?
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Omar. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called JobPixel. We are a video platform. We power video for a lot of really large companies in our industry. Hilton is a customer, UPS, AbbVie, others. So we work with a lot of companies that hire a lot of people,
Yeah.
and we allow them to collect short-form video content from employees, talking about culture, talking about daily life, and we help them deploy that content in their career page, job descriptions, and now recently we're starting to see more use cases internally too. Internal comms teams, onboarding, training are actually starting to use us more than talent acquisition, especially that companies
Interesting.
are hiring a little bit less now.
Yep.
We're starting to shift into that world, and it's been really really exciting, and really excited to be here at RecFest.
So
Yeah.
is there a test case where you're doing that right now in terms of that shift?
Oh my God, not just one test.
Not just one.
Like I'm talking 60 or 70% of my customers are doing that.
Wow.
Yes, it's crazy. We have like it just happened, and we're like, okay,
And
something.
so do you think that's because they weren't really leveraging what they already had internally, or is it the platform provides an easier way to do it?
I think it's a mix of different things. The first thing that I believe is that people are getting to a level where they're getting really tired of reading text. Um, have you ever seen an onboarding document for like a big hospital system?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Have I?
Oh
Yes.
my god, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, and it's like,
Yes.
oh, these steps and things and etc. And we just we started the onboarding thing like a while ago with Boston Medical Center actually. So
Okay.
I actually went to Boston, met with their head of TA. Their HR office is down in like the basement, which is kind of crazy. But
And
being
not
in the
surprising.
basement,
Yep.
it literally took me 35 minutes to find that damn office and that damn campus. It's
Yep.
huge.
Yep.
And every time I ask someone, they're like, "Oh, go here, go here, go here, go here." And she was like, "That's actually a problem that we deal with whenever we hire a new nurse. She has no idea
Right. Right.
how to get to the office to come sign the paperwork and get their badge."
That's crazy.
So she's like, "Oh, can we make a video about how to walk it?" So literally recorded a video walking through the parking lot into the main building, taking the elevator, what documents to bring with you, what documents to sign before showing up, and all that. And they put that in a part of like their workday, workflow.
Which is brilliant, really.
It's brilliant and it's so simple,
Yes.
right? Why do you have to go through this massive text? Nobody likes to read, and I think that's really what it is. People are moving away from having to read a lot of things, and right now, even me personally, I don't Google things anymore. If I need to fix a faucet at my house, I TikTok it.
Yeah.
I watch a quick 30-second video. I'm
Yes.
good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I had a nest of yellow jackets a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? TikTok, easy. Got gasoline in a cup. Put it on top. They all start falling into the cup.
Yeah. And I've seen those videos. They're pretty cool.
That's cool. I was really scared though. I was like, oh,
I
shit, if
bet
I
you
slipped,
were.
that would have been bad.
And
You would see my face be really hurt right now here.
Don't have a cigarette hanging out of your mouth while you do that.
Do not.
either. Yes. When you hear about when you share about, I should say, the pivot, right, that you just described, right, how the tool can be used differently. Does it worry you that it's a brand issue now for you when it comes to job?
Oh no! This
Yeah.
is not a pivot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an
that's-
extension.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Our initial use case with a
Because
lot
I
of these
think there's people who worry about that.
No, absolutely no.
So-
we don't
so-
have that
yeah.
problem. The idea of JobPixel is to allow you to collect video content.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
The way that you use it is really up to you as an organization, but because I think right now companies are not as hiring as much. The job market is really rough.
Yes.
Companies are trying to like do more with less, trying to keep their internal people engaged and excited and motivated. And I think that's just one of the ways that they want to do it.
Yeah, and I've been talking. It's so funny you're saying that because I've been, I would say, on a tear a bit about more with less. Like that's the philosophy that everyone needs to step into and stop complaining about. Because I think this is where we are. I'm not saying we'll be here forever, but right now we're in a more with less.
Yeah. And this thing, this business, this industry is cyclical.
Yes.
We go through a cycle and we come out of it, etc.
Yeah.
In reality, we haven't really had a cycle like this where a job market was bad, except 2008.
It's been a while.
COVID was just a blip.
It was a blip.
Unemployment went up and then went back down.
Right.
Everybody and their mother was hiring left and right,
less than
etc.
a year later. Right. Yes.
Everybody was
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Salaries were freaking crazy.
Crazy.
Okay,
Yes.
I still remember like the whole war for nurses and things like that. It was
Yes.
like it was happening. War for recruiters. Remember that? I can't hire recruiters. I was like,
Everybody,
now
we're like, oh, you come, you're a recruiter.
Yeah, get over here. Get
Sure,
over here.
sure, yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Like we haven't really had a real cycle like this since 2008. You know how long 2008 was?
It's a while ago.
17 years ago.
Yes.
That's how crazy it is. It doesn't go through our minds
And
sometimes.
it's funny that you're saying 2008 because that's also where I think sometimes in our industry we're a little myopic. We have a very narrow view.
Yeah.
Like the banking industry, it was a train wreck in 2008, 2007, 8, 9.
Yep.
But it rebounds. There's cyclical nature to it as well. Interest rates go up, interest rates go down, all that stuff. And so we just have to know how to brace long term.
Yep.
So quick cash and no cash can happen in the course of 36 months easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
And now I think like things are get a little weird for a lot of people with the introduction of AI.
Yes.
Right? Like a lot of people thought, oh, this AI thing is going to happen, and it's actually going to affect blue collar workers first. That was the initial idea. And guess what? It has nothing to do with white collar. It is all white collar now that is actually getting affected.
Yes.
Content marketing, most of the time you can probably replace it with AI for the most part, like writing articles and stuff like that. Things like that we're starting to see. Lots of positions can be automated via AI. Bookkeeping, same thing. You do every month. Go through your books, you wrap it up, all that. You can teach an AI to do that.
So when you think about what you're doing and AI and this idea of relevance, because I think that what we have found ourselves in the last 10 to 12 months is if you don't talk about AI, you're irrelevant when it comes to phases of this process. I don't agree with it. I'm just saying that, everybody has to slap an AI sticker on their backdrop. So how do you respond to that?
Have you seen Job Pixel powered by AI on our website? No. Right. Stop pretending. That's the thing. Like I'm not trying to throw any shade at anyone, but come on, you guys.
Yes.
I see this stuff like a bunch of companies. I'm not going to name any names, but
right.
You've been around for long enough. Everybody knows you're not an AI company. Now it's like, oh, we're all AI, etc. Like, whatever. Just be who you are.
Yes.
Be honest about it.
Yeah.
Say, oh, by the way, we added an AI feature. That's fine. I added AI features.
Absolutely.
And Job Pixel.
Absolutely.
We have a teleprompter. The teleprompter is powered by a couple of LLMs.
Yes.
Did I invent it? No. I'm
It's
not
a
going
tool.
out there and saying I'm an AI company. We're not an AI company.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I collect authentic stories from real people at companies.
Yeah.
I use some AI to help the content be better, such as writing teleprompter text.
Yep.
Such as improving audio. So if your dog is barking in the background, we have an AI model that can remove all of that stuff.
Yep.
Right. But it's not changing. We're not like generating videos now or something like that where we're like, oh, this is completely new. But a lot of companies are like, so many companies added chatbots.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Agentic AI everywhere.
Yeah. Like I've seen companies. I'm like, why do you have a chatbot in this interface?
Because they want to. Because they just can say that they.
Then they can literally any PM with a brain can look and they're like, oh, yeah, nobody's using this.
Right. We have it. Yeah. It's not used, but yes.
And and if you really look at like the really core companies that have had AI in our industry, Paradox would be a great example, right? Sana is another one. Yep. And guess what just happened with those two? They got acquired.
Right.
1.1 billion and $1 billion.
Yep.
Those are big numbers. And again, this is what's happening. Like Workday, for example, coming in and acquiring these companies is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, because a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's just a tuck-in. It's not a tuck-in. Workday doesn't make those decisions lightly.
Yes.
They did this for a reason.
Yes.
And it's because they know that a lot of companies are going to start cutting heads in HR and in TA and automating a lot of the tasks, those administrative tasks.
Yep.
Leadership, I think, is going to stay. But if you're like an entry-level position like a recruiter or an HR, you should be really worried.
Yeah. I think that, and I think you should be worried for a couple of reasons. One, I totally am with you in terms of how many jobs will be offered to people at that level. But two, it also means for an individual, you've got to be creative in the ways in which you can be taught and brought up in the industry where you don't necessarily have that, entry-level recruiter role or entry-level HR assistant role, or you may not have as many opportunities for those. So if this is the career I want to pursue, how do I get in? How do I start to make a name for myself while I'm learning all that I need to learn? I think that's going to be a bit of a trick for some people to figure out.
And now, even look at like Workday, for example. We've always known Workday as the enterprise HCM, right? They have Workday Go now. They're trying to go after small and mid market.
Yeah, 100%. Well, no, you've got SAP doing it.
Yeah. And even if you're a company with like 2,000 people, you know the name of Workday way better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pay even a little bit of a premium. I'll still get it.
What people have forgotten, and it's taken so long for it to sort of take hold, is So for many years, smaller tech companies in particular wanted to grow up and become an enterprise level client-based company.
Yes.
All right, we'll take the SMB and mid-market for now until we can get to that. We're seeing the complete opposite of that now, and I think it's because people have stopped paying attention to the fact how many companies are actually SMB and mid-market versus enterprise
Yeah.
level organizations.
Well,
You got to go
everybody
where the numbers
and everybody defines them differently,
are.
right?
Right? Oh my
And
gosh.
that's the thing.
Yes,
Like
that's
for
true.
me, enterprise is 10,000 plus
Yeah,
employees.
and I'll see 500 plus for some. It's crazy.
I've seen that,
Yeah,
and like there's stuff, and
a
I'm like,
thousand
okay,
plus,
do
but
you
yeah.
know how many more companies that have over 500
Yes,
compared to how many companies that have over
over
10,000?
10,000.
Yeah,
Right.
we're talking, I mean, 30,000, 40,000 companies minimum,
Yes,
like
yes,
difference.
yes,
And I'm like, because you can literally like go into an
yeah,
Apollo or
yeah.
something and run it, and you'll see what kind
It's
of
a
results you
huge
get. And that's the
difference.
thing, right? And I mean, for us at JobPixel, when we started, we tried to go after SMB and like mid market, and man, I will never go back to those days ever
Tough,
again.
tough.
It was tough, retention issues,
Yep,
like just the contract values, the way that they use it, etc. It just does not make sense for what we do.
for what you do.
The moment
Yes.
I made the shift completely into enterprise, we started doing great.
Yeah.
You know, we have some amazing customers. You know, our competitors are doing a great job too. Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah.
happy for everyone. But for me, at the end of the day, and I spoke on the Inspire stage earlier, you know, I don't have a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to talk about my competitors. No, I'm going to talk about my competitors because when I have competition, it means there's something happening that
That's
is
right.
important in this
That's
industry.
right.
And in reality, right now, if you go to LinkedIn, every third post is a video. LinkedIn made that decision very, very, very like particularly.
Yeah,
They have a
intentionally.
reason they did that.
Yes,
Very
yes,
intentional. Sorry.
yes. Yeah. No, no, no.
Okay.
You're right.
Sometimes my English
Yeah, no,
flies
you're
away,
good.
but they were very intentional about that because they are realizing that a lot of people, you, Joel, we have a lot. We know a lot of creators just between us two.
Yep.
What do we know?
Yep.
100, 200,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and that's what I'm saying. That's where everybody's going to.
Yep.
People are all want to kind of tell the
As
stories.
much as
Yeah,
people want to
exactly.
complain about the video on LinkedIn, which there are definitely groups of people doing that, it's their highest interactive, postings. So,
There we go.
all right, if you do not know Omar, make sure that you check out Job Pixel, especially if you're here at RecFest Live. Please go down and visit their booth. He's awesome, has a
Yeah,
lot more to share than this
and
time for
we
sure.
have a fortune teller. So if you want a fortune teller to come read your
Nice.
tarot cards, come by.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here, buddy.
of course.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Peace.
You free now?
I think so.
Come read your fortune.
I'm going to come down. I think, is, who's
If I put this down, it's not gonna.
Hat on or off? Doesn't matter.
Huh?
Hat on or off?
Whatever. This is totally laid back. I'm thinking about getting a hat for tomorrow, actually. Do you remember how to do it? Look at you, all got it all done. So, is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
We
Yes.
can touch on this.
And so what I'll do is I'll get you to introduce it and just say what are some of the most interesting stats? What are the trends that you're seeing that we'll just run? Good? All right. Hey, I am Trent Cotton with iSIMS, the head of talent insights and analyst relations. And with me, I've got Jeff with Warden AI. And we're going to talk about AI. All right. So, Jeff, why don't you tell us? I know you did a study earlier in the year. Can you just kind of set the scene for everybody? Get them caught up.
Sure, yeah. So at Warden, we audit and certify AI systems are fair and compliant. So we're really deep on AI compliance and AI fairness. We did a really cool report that went really deep on the state of AI bias and talent acquisition. We found loads of interesting insights. One of the most interesting ones and surprising for some people is that we compared AI fairness or AI bias to human recruiter bias and fairness.
Okay.
Controversial. And we actually found that potentially, at least based on the data we have, that AI actually does better than humans on this topic. So that was an interesting insight in that report.
I am so glad you brought that up because to me, we were talking to someone else earlier today about high volume hiring. And you know, the problem at the top of the funnel is that you have really good candidates that are getting lost in the mud. And humans can't scale being able to get in and pull out those necessary successful skills that are going to kind of transcend the job, right? I kind of see AI really kind of bringing some of those people out and elevating them. Does the data support that?
I would say so, yeah. It doesn't necessarily go in as granularly in that particular question, but certainly we can see that AI can be more consistent and certainly more scalable than human-based processes. There are obviously some risks associated, right? You know, AI can. We know there's a lot of studies that does show that AI can be, it can hallucinate, it can be biased, but those are not definitive, right? It can do those things, but if it's maturely developed and deployed properly with the right guardrails, etc., we're seeing that it can actually outperform humans in many cases as well.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah. And speaking of guardrails, I'm just going to do a very shameless plug. If you go to our YouTube channel, look for iSIMS. We've got a fireside chat with our chief product officer because we actually are one of the few that are actually licensed by TrustGuard for having responsible AI. And we actually got Eric, our CPO, to go through the responsible AI framework. And it kind of surprises me how few tech firms actually have something like that. You start there and then run everything else through, right?
yeah, so there's a number of different approaches to governance and compliance guardrails. I think TrustArc is a kind of process-based governance framework, which is really good to help structure, I guess, as an organization, how you're like building AI. There's also kind of another angle to this that more in line with what we do. There's external validation, like external monitoring and testing how the AI actually behaves. So that's an approach we do, and work with quite a lot of the vendors here. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more, I guess, concerns around AI compliance and trust, and we're seeing more solutions come into place. But to your point, it's early days, and many vendors and organizations, it's amazing how little they have in place in many scenarios, even though we're using AI at scale, all over the place. So it's definitely something that needs to be done more, I think.
And it's kind of funny, would you give a new recruiter full access to everything without any kind of training, without having a one-on-one, without auditing their trail? Like, if you're not going to do that with a human, why would you not do that with AI? It's just, I don't know. To me, it's common sense, right? So tell us a little bit more about work.
Sure, yeah. So as I was saying, we support with some of these AI compliance concerns. In particular, we do AI auditing as a third party through a platform. So we become connected to high risk AI systems like resume screeners, AI interviewers, AI sourcers, these sorts of tools. And our platform is essentially evaluating how they behave in reality. Not just looking at processes, but looking at the technical behavior of those systems. Using, I guess quite technical, but using a mix of real and synthetic data, a mix of our own data sets that we put together along with data that we might get from the platform, and put all that into dashboards and reports that let the end user, the end customer, look into the system and see how it behaves and whether they can trust it or not ultimately.
Oh, wow.
So that's our approach.
So what are some of the trends that you're seeing? I mean, you're looking at AI from a completely different angle than most people are accustomed to. Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing as becoming trends, or things that should be trends?
That's a good question. We're certainly seeing a lot of activity with AI being used by vendors. We are seeing increasing adoption from enterprises, staffing agencies, etc. Probably lagging behind where people think they are in terms of the hype. If that makes sense. You think, oh, everyone's using AI. Actually,
Right, right.
like most enterprises are not using AI, at least not like high volume, kind of high risk AI systems, I would say. We're seeing, as we just touched on, AI compliance and like risk as a bit of an afterthought, but it is changing. Like we're definitely seeing a lot more, concern, questions, procurement processes relating to that, which from our point of view is a good thing. But overall, we're not seeing that slowing down adoption. But we're obviously adoption is increasing, even though awareness and maturity around risk is also increasing. So I think that's all good stuff.
Awesome. So if you were, I guess, like in a practitioner's seat, and you were trying to evaluate software, and AI was a major component that you wanted to have in the software, what kind of questions should you be asking to the vendor to make sure that they've got everything in place to be able to protect you as a client?
Yeah, really good question. And tricky to very comprehensive to cover all that. But the main thing I would say is to become familiar with the main AI regulations that are emerging. Particularly in the US, key ones would be New York City's local law 144. California recently made an amendment to the Fairness and Employment Housing Act that now extends those protections or requirements to AI systems in effect. Not many people know about that law. It just went into effect 2 weeks ago. But it's California. It's really important. So I would say get familiar with those. Ask the vendors what their status is on those regulations, what measures they have in place to mitigate risk, what audits they have to validate that from a third-party perspective, and potentially what measures they can offer you so that when you're deploying an AI tool, even if it's got its together, to what extent can you manage and mitigate your use of using that tool and demonstrate to a regulator that you're doing everything you can as a practitioner to manage that. Obviously, you don't want to be building your own systems because that's going to be complicated, so you want your vendor to help you that audit trail with that risk mitigation.
Yeah, I think the audit trail is probably one of the most important things because things are changing so quickly. You need to be able to show, okay, this changed, we changed our policy, here are the results, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, is this first time at RecFest, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So what do you think? Kind of a cool...
It's really cool. It's really good to have a change from the over-oxygenated kind of casino floor Vegas, which I love Vegas, great conferences there, but nice to have a change.
Vegas is not one of my favorites.
Right.
Yeah, I like this. Nice and change, open. What do you think about anybody standing out to you, like coming by your booth, asking fun questions?
Yeah, we've had some good conversations. I mean, we work with a lot of vendors here, so it's good to see a lot of our customers as well as leads and prospects. So just enjoying really walking around on the grass and chatting to people. It's the highlight for me so far.
It is. Those collisions every once in a while are fun. So if someone wanted to look at the report, like where would they get access to it?
Yep. So it's freely available online, no sign up required or anything like that. You can just head over to warden-ai.com and there's a clear call to action to download the report from there, which you can easily do, and 50 pages of fascinating insights to review, including a quote from Trent as well.
Yeah, I threw a quote in there, but I didn't read it just because I had a quote in there. I read it because I love the information. It's very well put out.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then in terms of like, do you guys do any type of like newsletters or anything else to kind of help continue to educate? Because this is a wonky topic, and it's changing, like you said, it's changing so fast.
Really fast, yeah. So we don't have a proactive newsletter. We do, whenever there's a meaningful industry update, like the Workday lawsuit or new regulation, we do like a webinar on it. Okay. So I would say follow us on LinkedIn. Absolutely. And we'll post meaningful content as and when we have it.
Awesome. And of course, they can find you on LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn as well, yeah. Or if anyone wants to email me, it's jeff@warden-ai.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. have to do a shoe in, do I? Good? All
I'm
right.
just, I want to serve face for you.
I love it.
Just serving face. Getting a little
Yeah.
blue steel.
All right. So for the audience, somebody was trying to take our picture, so of course we went right into
We're like, hello.
new Instagram post, right?
Sure, absolutely. Although I have no grid posts.
Oh,
I'm one of those people.
I can help you with that. We'll talk
No,
about
I
that.
don't want grid posts.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well,
Stories only, my friend.
stories. You don't want proof. I got you.
Never.
So welcome to the hot seat. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing well. So in case someone has been under a rock and they don't know who you are, can you introduce
so
yourself?
Silly. Yes, I'm Tracy Parsons. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Flockity. And Flockity is essentially influencer marketing for jobs.
It says the person
That's
who
it.
says, I don't have an Instagram thing.
I don't. I know.
The irony of that.
I love it.
I love it.
I didn't say I was an influencer. I said I run the company.
Okay. Makes sense. You
That does
support the
influence.
influencers.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I think that you have a pretty interesting view of the market. So why don't we talk about trends that we have seen this year and maybe some predictions for 2026?
Yes, we seem to be literally all in on AI.
Are we though?
Well, we like to say we are,
Yeah.
right? Like this isn't, oh, it's AI this, agentic this, agentic that. And, cool. But have we talked to any of the other people that are on the side of the equation that we play with, right? Like, I love that we love to buy technology or at least talk about buying technology, but we very rarely talk to the people that will be using the technology.
That's kind of like the basis of design thinking. You start
Yes.
living right.
But that's the problem with what we do.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem with what we do because there's not just recruiters,
Mhm.
there's not just hiring managers or leaders. There are candidates' friends, there are employees. There are so many heroes that we try to paint into the hero position when it comes to recruitment that we just have to pick one.
Well, yes, but I think we're so long. If we're looking at like TA Tech, a lot of
Yes.
it was built primarily to interact with HRIS.
100%.
Okay, and then they thought about the recruiters. Like, hey, we
Yes.
need to make this fun for the recruiter.
100%.
And then let's let the candidate have a decent experience. But no one has actually stopped to look at the hiring manager experience. And like trend that I'm seeing, and it's only because I have the inside track. I mean, one of the things we are looking at is going into our product journey in 2026. How do we hit each one of those? Each one of those personas has a completely different need,
Yes.
completely different behavior,
Yes.
and completely different expectation.
100%. But it's interesting because the businesses are going to design products that solve the problems for the people who write the checks.
Point. Yeah.
Period. Right? So,
But that's not necessarily the right way.
oh, are we in late stage capitalism? Yes, we are. Right? Yes, we are. So when you think about it, when you put it that simply, of course it makes sense, right? They're going to build for their buyer. Very few people build for their user. And even the word user is one of the ick factors that I have. I'm like, we don't have users, right? At Flockity, we have creators and we have customers. But so you have to design the product for who's going to purchase the product, which I totally understand. Now, sadly, those folks aren't talking to any of the other heroes in the story, right? They're looking at the bottom line decision, which is smart because they have a fiduciary responsibility to the business, right? And they have to do something smart. Now, what I get very encouraged by is that we are starting to have conversations like this, like the hiring manager, like the candidate experience. But we have to transition the conversation to action at some point.
True. And you know, it's interesting. I think one of the trends that has kind of been really interesting to me is in that buying decision, it used to just be TA leader, HR leader, and then procurement if you're on the enterprise side. We're starting to see a lot more of the C-suite come in and want to be part of that decision process, which is great. But then there's a whole other set of users that you have to be able to appeal to.
Absolutely, and they're coming in it from a really powerful lens too, right? They're looking at it from the layer of the business as opposed to the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And I appreciate that. I love that there's more C-suite involvement into what we're buying in HR technology and TA technology. I think it's important. But when we talk about the hiring manager experience, we often forget that recruiting is not the hiring manager's day-to-day. Like day-to-day, they are managing team and they are defining requirements for technology or managing programs. They're defining a team, and then they have to fill roles on that team, right? So we, and maybe this is a trend that I would like to see start in 2026.
Okay.
We need to start normalizing our language and our conversations so that they are understandable to everyone.
Yes. Can we get rid of the HR and the TAEs?
All of it.
Yeah.
Like literally all of it. So when we're talking to, like, this is one of my favorite things to reference. If I were to ask a room full of TA people and recruiters, how long after submitting an application do you think yourself you're out? Like if you wait, how many days? And the consensus is 3. And I was like, okay, so wait a minute. You think that if you applied and in 3 days you didn't hear anything, that you're automatically out? You realize, as this person that does this job, the average time to fill is 45 days.
Right.
And you yourself are telling me that you think that you're out after 3? Candidates have no idea what the hell we are talking about at any given time. And we have no idea how candidates talk about us.
That's a very good point.
Right? Like nobody wakes up nobody gets out of bed in the morning and says, I wonder if Apple is hiring today. That is not even on the list of things that they're thinking about when they wake up. They might think of, I need a new job. They might think of, I really don't like my manager. Think of, I want to acquire that next skill. But nobody gets out of bed and thinks of a brand thing. They think about the job they do or the job they want to do. And then it's a palatable brand that has that job they're in.
That's interesting. We actually, we put out a 3-monthly workforce report. So we're always looking at data. And one of the interesting points is in our frontline hiring report, one of the bents was that they want to understand, they understand they're coming into an entry-level job in most cases, some type of frontline hiring. They're okay with that as long as they can see some type of career trajectory, right? And to me, that's kind of such an easy lift, in my opinion.
The bar is on the floor, Chad.
Yeah,
like literally the bar is on the floor. And we are so busy trying to agentic shit.
Yes.
I'm like, you guys, let's first of all acknowledge where the bar is.
Right.
It's on the floor.
Right.
And we don't acknowledge that the bar is on the floor because we don't talk to candidates.
Yeah.
Right? Like we just don't. And we don't talk to candidates in the wild, right? We do the candidate, right? Do you know what I'm saying?
I know what you said. Just the way that you said it, just kind of in the
candidates
wild, like they're a wildebeest or something.
Right, they're just in the wild, wandering
I
around,
love it.
applying for jobs, right? But that's the thing. So that's one of the things that is really powerful about the work that we're doing at Flockity, is that we are tapping into trusted voices that people are already following socially to get better about being either a job seeker or an employee, right? They're getting their lessons. Like, I think I saw a stat: 92% of Gen Z trusts TikTok for career advice, even if it's wrong.
Wow.
And it's 76% for Instagram. LinkedIn is 32%. And
Wait. So the professional.
I have the data.
I need that. I love me some data.
I know you do.
So let's just back
Let's unpack
train
that.
up.
Yep.
Okay. So LinkedIn, the leading social for professional, the trust factor is what percent?
34%.
Wow. So if I'm an employer and I'm out on LinkedIn and I'm just putting out all this great content, it's not landing.
Okay, first of all, when's the last time you stopped and read branded content that wasn't your own?
I was going to say, I read my stuff all the time. I read your stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm not a brand. I'm just
So what
Tracy
I'm saying,
Parsons. That's my point.
That's a very good point. So they're buying from people. They're not buying from the company.
Correct, right? And they're getting guidance from companies, and they're getting advice from people, because they don't we've ruined a lot of relationships in the last 30 years digitally with job seekers.
Yeah.
And the current coming up Gen Z, they believe they're people on TikTok, and they even acknowledge this might be bad advice, but I still believe it. I'm still gonna go do the research to see if that's real advice or not.
So your advice for someone that's hearing this going, okay, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
How do you fix it?
Well, so one is you have to figure out how to tap into your internal creators.
Okay.
Right? So if people believe people, which we all know that's true. Again, if you are scrolling on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you see something that is from a company, your thumb can't move fast enough.
True.
right?
True.
But if it's somebody telling a story about something else, you're going to sit with it for a minute or a second or 60 seconds,
There's a
right?
key word there, story.
Yeah,
You know, I think people love good stories. So
absolutely.
let's talk about the career path. There's uh, I absolutely love. She's one of my favorite people in Chicago. If you're watching, you know who you are. She runs large organization, and they do a lot of frontline hiring for
Yeah,
like warehouse workers.
sure.
And so they started doing like a day in the life. And it was
Yes.
just someone with a mobile phone
Yes,
walking
handheld.
through whatever.
Absolutely.
So I'm on a panel with her, and we're talking about candidate experience. And she tells a story that this guy applied, got hired, very quick time to fill,
Yeah.
comes in on day one, and he's going through part of the orientation, and they're kind of showing him around. He goes, "Hey, I need to use the restroom." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll show you." He goes, "No, no, I know where
I
it
know
is."
where it is.
He went right to it,
Of course he
you
did.
know. But think about that. It's not just getting somebody into the role; it's helping them feel at home, like the immersion aspect of it.
You have to help them paint themselves into your story.
Absolutely.
That's period, right? Do that through day in life. So, like, if you're listening to this right now, one, activate your people. Start an employee-generated video campaign, right? And start putting that on your social and their social. Allow them to be internal influencers. And if you're sitting there going, I don't know, what if they quit? What if they quit? Oh my God, take the video down. Like, are you kidding me? Life changes. People understand. It's going to be fine. We spend so much time in my specific space worrying about the things that might happen that we paralyze ourselves from doing the things that should happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, you know, it's so funny. I think so many companies are still afraid to give their employees the mic.
Yeah,
But who can
whatever.
tell the story better?
Exactly.
You know,
Well, because they're worried about it being polished and they're worried about it. Look,
you don't need
you
polish.
know, my most popular, like, I have a personal TikTok account. My most popular TikToks are me, zero makeup, hair on top of my head, something stupid that just happened. Right? Like, I got a text from my 80-year-old mother during the Super Bowl halftime show. She's like, I really like this Kendrick Lamar. He's like my new favorite.
I
And so I'm
love it.
like, nothing prepares you for a text
Right.
from your 80-year-old mother saying Kendrick Lamar has a brand new fan.
That's so funny.
Right? So it's real. Did I stumble over my words? Absolutely. But there is this moment that everybody in our space and in the C suite and in TA, we all just need to channel our inner Elsa and we
Yeah.
need to let it
Let it
go.
go. Yeah.
You just gotta let it go. And because it's an illusion. None of us control anything.
No,
None
no.
of us control anything.
And
It could start pouring down rain. I have no control over
yeah,
that.
we'll figure it out. And it's so
We'll
funny
figure it
because
out.
like I have a stutter. You know,
Seriously.
I kid you not, I have
Well
a stutter.
done.
And so I actually, partner Nicole is back there, and I sent her. I was supposed to do like a 30 or 45-second clip,
Yeah,
and so I sent her the whole raw file. I sent her the polished version,
sure.
and then I said, just so you know, and I sent her 7 minutes of video of me trying to get 30-second, you know, just enough of a quality clip.
Yes.
But to me, it's funny, you know. I mean, I don't take
Okay.
it that seriously.
So Torrin Ellis.
I love me some Torin.
Torrin Ellis refers to me as two takes.
2 takes.
It takes me 2 takes to get anything.
I love it.
Right. So I'm
So
really
jealous.
proud that we are like probably 10 minutes into this and I
Yeah.
haven't done that. I gotta restart.
Yeah. Where is Torrance?
I don't know where Torrin is.
Let me-
I don't know. Somebody should text him. Torrin, where are you?
I'm going to text him right now. We should text him and send him a selfie.
We should.
Torrent Ellis. All right. So sorry, audience. Excuse us for just a second. I love this thing. All right, Torrent, it's coming to you, buddy.
Hi,
All
Torrin.
right. I know if you don't follow him, he is
Immediately follow him.
Torrin Ellis.
Pause.
Torin Ellis. Fantastic.
Fabulous.
So, well, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having
I
me.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Great
So stay
conversation.
tuned. We're going to continue the coverage, and you don't want to miss out. Thanks. That was fun.
Yeah, it's like-
That's Panda. You can we could sign you up for some right now. I left mine at home. You can go whenever. Hey, do you want me to? We'll be like live on the live stream. Oh, let's go. All right.
We're like live streaming.
We're
now.
live streaming. Oh, I
Okay.
love it. I thought we were recording. Okay.
Okay.
Diana Tsai, founder of Upwage. How are you?
Good. I'm great.
Hi, I'm Clark Wilcox with Purple Acorn Digital Recruiter, and now we're gonna talk about Upwage. And why don't you give us a breakdown?
Yeah. Well, I mean, AI agents. It's what everybody's talking about all these days, right? But ours are special. They decrease turnover.
How are you special?
They decrease turnover.
Well, I love it. How did the show? AI agents is like the buzz term, right? And it's incredible what AI can do. It's like all things can be double-edged swords. So, but you founded this before kind of AI burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I'm interested, like, what made you start this before we all found out about AI?
How did you know that? That's amazing. That's like a little known fact that we essentially founded the company before GPT exploded on the scene.
I just got to get on LinkedIn.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it all started. So I'll say this: like Greg, my co-founder, and I met in the military recruiting space almost 8 years ago. He was focused on. He was at LinkedIn running veterans recruiting. I was building out transition programs, mentoring digital platforms to focus on supporting transitioning veterans. And so employment's always been really top of mind for us. We care about it a lot. But specifically, Greg was doing his PhD in AI and labor markets, and that was 3 years ago. And we were constantly talking about, like, oh my God, there's a jobs crisis. How are we going to handle all this? And so our thought was, well, the only way to combat the disruptive impact of AI is actually with AI itself. So we need to build an AI safety net for the workforce. But this is before agentic AI, before all this. So that's where we started. And eventually we ended up in a place where we're like, okay, now we're building full life cycle agents to support companies to drive turnover down, to improve performance, quality of life. And I was just doing a talk on this really around how everything is about the job that you deploy AI to do. And we get excited about jobs that don't involve replacing recruiters. Like, we find that to be the dumbest use of AI ever because it's the lowest ROI use case. It's like, oh, I cut my team by 5 people and therefore save the company $500,000. I'm like, how about if we deliver you $16.8 million in turnover savings? That's like what we like to do with AI. And we need the recruiting teams to support us in doing that. And so it's really been awesome. And I think ultimately where it all translates into is the thing I was talking about on stage is, like, right now, global job seekers are spending about 2 trillion hours looking for jobs, which is totally insane. And it's just getting worse because it's like job search time has increased from 5 months to 6 months. And so in my mind, every time we help a company decrease turnover, every time one of our amazing recruiting teams figures out how to optimize their hiring funnel for their agents, they're literally compressing the amount of time job seekers are spending in the market and dramatically improving a situation that frankly sucks right now, like a major jobs crisis on a global level. So that's what we do.
I love it. Well, there's so much doom and gloom around AI, so it's almost like thing. And you always, like, we met back at EORE back in April. Like, I mean, you always just have such a wonderful energy and such optimism around all this. So, like, you're giving me hope just hearing this. But like in the weeds, like, you're talking about the turnover savings and everything else. Like, how should companies be thinking about whether it's leveraging your software and all that? Like, they're thinking of replacing people, but like, in terms of doing for turnover, like, what benefits are you seeing that have with companies, with these departments? And from the domino effect of what you're able to.
Well, so it really all is in the math. Like, it's all in the math. And so that's why we're so ROI driven. So I would say this, like, time savings is where there are tons of different vendors here, right? Time savings is where most companies are focused right now. But from our perspective, like, we've deployed across 40 industries about 14,000 agents, and the most impactful ROI cases are actually when you can impact quality of hire down funnel. And the way you do that is, like, so we have these advanced behavioral interviewers that are competency and skills driven. We actually benchmark them to high performers inside roles or high retention candidates or high retention employees. We take all of that top of funnel and we're able to essentially create a higher quality of slate that's offered to hiring managers and recruiters. So that's why we end up having agents that can actually cut turnover from top of funnel. And now, actually, over the next quarter, we're deploying new agents that are cutting into, we call them like employee success agents. So the employee success agents check in on you 7 to 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and they're just like, how's your relationship with your manager? How are things going? How can we support? So there's that element of preventative turnover that you can cut into immediately. And then we also have exit interviewer agents that we're now deploying to capture all the reasons why people leave. And then we essentially take all those reasons and feed them back up to the top of the funnel to our interviewing agents. So it's full feedback loop.
Super cool.
Yeah.
How do you like? How do employees react to this? And I'm
Yeah.
because I've heard of like AI screening tools, right,
Yeah.
where candidates are talking to AI, and it's like 24-hour screen and
Yeah.
all that. And I know
Yeah.
there's a wide variety of feedback on how people interact, but what do you see as like the reaction with employees to interacting with AI agents?
Yeah, there's a lot of bullying. Well, so here's the reality. Right now, it's pretty much all or nothing. It's like you receive no support, especially in high volume roles.
Yeah.
No one's checking in on you.
Yeah.
No one's actually seeing like how are you feeling about your team, your manager? Or do you feel equipped for this job? Did we actually put you in the wrong role? Are you at risk? There's a care and that simply is not deliverable at scale from most large businesses that are hiring at this kind of volume. So really, the reaction is, whoa. This is the first time someone's even asked if I'm doing okay at my new job.
Yeah.
And no one would usually even be able to. So I think that's why it's so powerful to have like, it's counterintuitive, but AI when deployed correctly actually makes processes much more humane in a lot of ways. And that's really the use case. And so then the key thing is bring those insights that the intelligence that agents can generate back to the recruiting leaders and the people leaders to be able to then action. Because that's been the key thing. It's like, what do you do with all this intelligence? And so we have another layer of agents behind that are doing analysis. So they're all the assessment analyst agents that are interpreting the data to help make it more clear. Because in the past, you run an exit interview, do 1,000 exit interviews, and what do you do with that data?
Right.
It's like, I don't know. In our case, it's like, well, we've got agents on the back end that are figuring out how to parse that data, how to make sense of that data, and then you feed the insights back up to the top funnel.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I've been seeing the same thing with our own team, kind of leveraging it. We realized I think I need a demo of your product.
Yeah.
But as we kind of talked, you mentioned 40 different industries.
Yeah.
What's like the type of client or company that gets the most value out of working with you?
Companies that are growing really quickly or facing a lot of turnover. Yeah, growing really quickly because we oftentimes, our agents are used to expand the capacity of TA teams. So I was on stage with a really good friend of mine, Metropolis, Chris Hawk. He's the head VP of TA there, and they use our AI agent. Their very core super team of TA recruiters to serve a decentralized hiring model where they acquired SP Plus. SP Plus is like 20,000 employees. And so as a small team, they needed to be able to extend their capacity. So high growth companies, AI is really good for high growth companies. The other is super high turnover, high volume. Very, very key. And generally I think those are the two spaces where we see. So healthcare, retail, a lot of like global footprint expansion or location expansion, that's where you really see a need. Yeah.
And we'll go back to your talk. Like, what did you what did you cover just now on stage? And why that topic?
Yeah, I was talking about why 95% of AI pilots fail and what we can learn from the 5% that succeed. And I mean, we've had our good deal of failures too, so I cherry pick the lessons from the 5% that actually work. But yeah, MIT rolled out this study a couple months ago, and it was like 95% of AI pilots don't even hit the P&L. And I synthesized it down. I mean, it's like a 20-page report, so there's lots of reasons. But the synthesis of everything in my mind is because most people are not starting with why. Like, why are they using AI? And it's just because, well, everybody else is using AI, therefore I should be using AI. My CEO says I should use AI. Yeah. But this is like the equivalent logic of saying like, well, everybody else is hiring, so therefore I should hire. Or like, hiring's cool, so we should just hire people randomly. Like, this does not make any sense. So a lot of what I was focusing on in the talk is identifying the most powerful whys and the biggest business cases to run AI transformation against, and how essentially what happens then is you not only empower your TA function to become growth drivers, revenue drivers, turnover, cost-cutting, capabilities, but you're actually protecting the TA function from the false, actually, story that the best use of AI is to decrease headcount. I think that's literally just like one of the most toxic stories that currently exists, and it's very, very dangerous because we've actually seen that the most ingenious and the most impactful deployments of AI have nothing to do with that. It's actually all around how you can deliver business outcomes that were never ever possible in the past. Yeah.
I completely agree. That's what I'm seeing with my team, hiring intangibles. People that are sponges is what I've been looking for, because internally we can leverage AI to soak up more knowledge, more wisdom, more experience, and empower them even more to kind of run with things. And it's so much more than just me trying to do it all myself.
For sure.
It's just been seeing them, how they leverage it, and the balance of that. They're now doing things. I'm moving into roles that we didn't even talk about.
That's
I hired them 5 weeks ago, and they're kind of taking on a completely new job description 5 weeks in, because of the way they took in like AI, the knowledge, the learning that we have, like the one-on-one meetings. but they're like rewriting their job description. And 5 weeks ago, I didn't even know that they could be capable of that.
Yeah.
I thought it might take 6 months.
Yeah.
And I think that's the cool part. So now I'm like, well, how could I add more people
Yes.
with this same funnel? So I
Yeah.
completely agree. I'm in my own little small world, like seeing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of how you think about things.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you kind of view the market. So I got to ask. So you started this before everything came on the scene. ChatGPT was what, March 2023-ish? I
Yeah.
feel like that was the big. So what happened there? Like, did that change things for you, or what
Everything.
changed for
Everything.
you in terms of like you're building this thing and
Yeah.
now like, okay, this is everyone knows about it
Yeah.
now. What was that like? Yeah, what were some of the changes?
Roadmap got accelerated by like literally a decade.
Wow.
So like, because Greg and I, we wanted to build a universal interviewer from
Yeah.
day one. And the universal interviewer, we had this crazy dream of essentially like what happens if you replace job boards with a single AI that you could speak to that was connected to every single other job, and it could essentially get you interviews. So cut through the application bullshit, the black hole, and just get you straight into interviews. So we had this thought like, oh, in 10 years we'll be able to build this at some point. We'll
Yeah.
have enough data. And so what happened is once OpenAI came out, we were like, Greg and I looked at each other and we're like, holy crap. We think we can build everything we were dreaming of building in 10 years next year. So we
Yeah.
just accelerated everything. We literally trashed our entire code base, started over, and just built a Gen AI native platform.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is crazy. We can skip all the steps in between now. That's what changed. It was very, very cool.
Still catching up on sleep from that year.
Oh, I don't even sleep anymore, man. I don't know, but no, yeah. I mean, I do sleep. I try to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it is just crazy how quickly everything changed. And now it's been a couple years. What do you think the next 5 years are going to bring with AI
Yeah.
and all this? I mean, for Upwage and just in the market in general, what do you think people should be considering and kind of looking at for the next 5 years?
Yeah, well, so my co-founder and I, we think in waves. So we have a book, AI for Good, that sort of looks at what 2030 will look like. And so when I think about the next waves of transformation coming, we usually do an exercise every 3 months or so where we're predicting the market, and we just see how accurate we are at figuring out where the market's going. So the wave we're in right now is we call it AI agentic infrastructure for hiring full life cycle. So this is where AI agents are overlaying on top of the entire HRTA life cycle. The next wave that is emerging is around predictive intelligence and decision making. So the key thing here is that we've essentially entered a permanent employer's market, because there's always going to be now more candidates than jobs at this point. That's what we're seeing. And that's just a result of AI, automation, robotics. As much as the news cycles are like, oh no, jobs are not being lost. It's like, do you see that there's 30% unemployment among new grads? Like, jobs are at risk. And so what that means, though, is that many job seekers are going to be entering a market where they are not skilled or ready for the reality of that market. So therefore, everything is about predicting what jobs look like in the future and reskilling and redeploying talent now with AI. So that's wave 2. Yeah. And then wave 3, we'll get into a whole different thing. But it's really around we call it there's a phase that's coming, which is we think universities are collapsing, which they already are. But essentially the reason for that is the social contract between students and universities is broken. The thing in the past was you go to school and you get a job. If you're going to pay $50,000 and not get a job, no one's going to school anymore.
Yep.
So who's the new school? So we think it's employers. It's companies are going to become the new school, because in between was always the mechanism. That's the colleges. So in that world, then it's super interesting. There's so many AI applications and agents that you can use to essentially create pop-up universities for companies.
Yeah.
So one of the use cases that we're most excited about is essentially transforming candidate pipelines, where you're not going to hire 95% of the people who apply. So why don't we actually just upskill everyone into future roles? This is what I think is super freaking awesome. We're very excited about that.
I love that. The upskilling, I think, is the
Yeah.
word, and that's the takeaway. Anyone listening and watching is
Yeah.
how can I make myself better?
Yeah.
Right. And there is so many ways to do that now, and I just think it's super cool. So I appreciate you sitting down, sharing
For
your
sure.
story. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you too, always.
And so and now that you've done speaking and everything, you can go enjoy. So
in the blistering heat.
in blistering heat, I know we got to get out of the sun.
Yes.
So again, Diana Sai, founder of Upwage. Make sure to check her out. You can do a demo if you're learning about AI agents. So until next time, y'all.
and then it's gonna be recording as well. Mics are hot.
Oh, wow.
We're live.
Okay, awesome. Love it.
All right, we're good to go. Good to rock. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We are excited to be at RecFest 2025. I've got to look at the right camera here. We are in the Purple Acorn tent. I want to give a special shout out to our friends at Basic Capital for just making sure that we could host these conversations. It's been a great day so far, and we're going to be having some great conversations today as well. So I got my first guest with us. Why don't you do us a favor? Tell us who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. Those are my 3 questions.
Okay, all right. So my name's Jennifer Beckman. I am the HR director at Long Building Technologies. We are an HVAC building automation, mechanical services, specialty contractor, and we are making a difference in the world every day.
I love it.
And lead our talent acquisition team as well. So always looking for new ways to find talent.
Yeah.
We definitely are in a talent shortage type of industry.
Yeah.
So love connecting with people like you to learn a little bit more about what we can be doing for those authentic connections, because in line with our culture is those authentic connections.
Yeah, I mean, it's we were talking beforehand. I know with the trades in particular, massive talent shortage, aging population as well within the field. So I'm curious from your perspective. There's a lot of these AI tools out here. You go for a walk around, you're going to find a ton of different AI tools. How are you using AI within your process? Are you seeing your TA team using AI to attract people? Like, I guess, what are you excited about as far as AI goes and attracting tradespeople?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot happening. You're right. It might be, because there's so much happening, it might be easier to say or tell you the things we're not doing.
Yeah, I love that.
Because, and so, we're experimenting on our side, building out our own tools, because we think that there's some space for that, because then it can be more aligned with us and our culture. And then, of course,
like keeping your brand voice and things like that.
Yes, yeah. And then, of course, within our ATS, there's some AI that's happening. But what we aren't doing, at least right now, I can see maybe years in the future, we're considering this, is bringing in AI to, like, there's this kind of this sweet spot, right? Like, you can use AI really, like, at the very beginning stages of, finding the resume, finding the candidate.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the sweet spot of connection.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's helpful, at least for us, and given our culture, to leverage AI too soon.
Yeah.
As it relates to that connection. The connection's really important. We want to build relationship in the recruiting process. So, it's great to be here to understand, like, how are these AI companies, how are they solving for that piece?
Yeah.
Where the intersection between the relationship and the technology.
We talking to, obviously, with that shortage, you're not getting necessarily a lot of applications, right? It's not a lot of, you're not getting thousands of applications for these jobs. So I'm curious, like, what is your plan? Like, how are you kind of working? I guess, are you working with schools? Like, how are you kind of working to have a plan for the future, given that there's just so much work and demand for these types of projects as well, with even with AI. I mean, they're building data centers everywhere. So what are you doing to kind of help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So we are working with post-secondary schools, as well as our local high schools. There is a lot happening in the Denver metro area as it relates to integration with pre-college or post-high school kind of education within the trades. So we're building relationships there as well, so that up-and-coming entry-level employees who are interested in the trades know who we are. And then in addition, once they get into the organization, we've built out career pathing as well as apprenticeship programs to kind of support someone who wants to get into the trades.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot more, like Gen Z as well, it seem to be more attracted to the trades, just given everything that's happened in tech over the last few years. And we're hearing a lot of headlines around a lot of tech jobs getting replaced by AI,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
there's not going to be as much demand. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing
Yes.
a lot more interest? And I guess how are you kind of branding that employment-wise to kind of show them like what it's actually like in these jobs? Because obviously it's a very different type of job than what you maybe find in tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting. I think there's an opportunity for us in that. So you had a couple of questions. So one is the integration from being within technology career space into more of a construction based. So our building automation division is really that intersection where we're hiring people into those roles who have, in some cases, a technology background. We know that if somebody is serving in a development role or programmer role, they likely have the acumen for a job in building automation. The challenge, so we know that. The challenge is other people don't really understand all that building automation is, and so helping kind of bridge that gap. So I think there is an opportunity there, and we're working on it.
I know, we have a lot of listeners too who have maybe kids that are entering that later high school, going into college. What advice would you give to parents who maybe have their kids coming to them and go, hey, what should I do? And like I'm nervous about all these shifts that we're seeing in tech and even with a lot of these corporate jobs. Like what advice do you have for parents to just not guide them in the direction of the trades, but give them kind of more of a balanced view on what the trades is? Because I feel like there could just be misconceptions out there about what those career paths are.
100%. And I'm glad you're asking the question because parents tend to be our biggest barrier to getting kids in the trades. Parents want their kids to go to a 4-year college and I think it is lack of education. Their parents maybe that's the path they took, so it's the comfortable way, and they don't really truly know all that comes with being in the trades and the true career growth that can happen in the trades. And so I would just say if your kids are in high school right now, even junior high, you're looking in your community for what possibilities there are for education and what integration is happening within some of these tech schools. In the Denver area, we have Legacy Campus, we have Epic, we have Warren Tech, and those organizations are working with high schools. And so I think as a parent, becoming really aware what is in my community, how can I get my kids plugged in to at least explore it as an option before they graduate, and then they know.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. One of the things too I've heard from a lot of people who are exploring the trades is maybe the culture. It's maybe it's a little bit more rough and ready than like a corporate culture, or you can kind of hear those horror stories about you go work at a mom and pop like HVAC shop, and it's a harder work environment.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that? And I guess how do you kind of guard against that, or how do you kind of guard against having that older generation conflicting with the younger generation? How do you create a culture where maybe older people are mentoring younger people, and it's an inviting culture for them? How do you kind of bridge that gap?
It's a great question. So we have done many employment engagement surveys, and almost every time, I would say probably every time, the most discussed word in those surveys is family.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about family. We are a long family. It's and I don't know anybody who doesn't want that sense of community.
Yeah.
And so we feel like that is one of the things that we have that's our secret sauce. We take care of each other. We help each other grow in those. And so I think that transcends generations.
Yeah, and the last thing here too, I know remote work has obviously become really popular. It seems like a lot of people, want to work remotely. But I've also seen in the last couple of years a pushback for some people who are wanting those social connections. How do you kind of communicate that to candidates, how important it is to have that human connection while you're at work and that community like you're talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, I guess have you seen more of a desire for people coming in that they're hey, I want to do work with my hands. I want to go in.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think now more than ever, really. And I think now more than ever, people desire the connection. So, we do certainly have some positions that are remote based or can work remotely occasionally, like a hybrid, right? It isn't something that really impacts the talent pool for us. I think people want to be around one another.
Yeah.
It's what we find to be true.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're at RecFest. Is it your first time at RecFest?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. How are you finding it? What's the vibe like?
It's awesome. I mean, I can tell that people, they want to know what else they can be doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity for innovation in recruiting. I'm sure you know that, having served on the agency side for quite some time. It's exciting. It's really exciting. So
amazing.
And
where can people connect with you? What's the best place to find out what you're up to and what you're doing?
Yeah, on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Jennifer Beckman, Long Building Technologies. That's probably the best way right now.
Awesome. And we have a special gift too. From our sponsors, Basic Capital, which I'll give to you. So we've got some good goodies in there.
Appreciate that.
And are you going to be speaking as well? Are you doing a session?
I am not. I am an observer this year, but maybe in the future.
What session are you most excited about? Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah. There's so many. I'm just excited. I'm popping into all of them because I think there's just great content all over, and
I love it.
I think we're learning from some really good experts here in the industry, so it's really exciting.
I love it. Well, thank you for joining us, and guys, we got 2 more guests today as well, which I'm really, really excited about. Jennifer, thank you so much for connecting.
Absolutely.
And I always say, if you're going to connect with a guest on LinkedIn, just be mindful that Jennifer's probably not hanging out on LinkedIn all day like me. So just say, hey, I heard you on the podcast, and send that connection request out.
Awesome.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys. Give me 1 second. All right, welcome back to Recruiting is No Joke Live. We are live at RecFest 2025. We're pumped to be here. I want to give a special shout out to Basic Capital for making this podcast episode possible. I got another really exciting guest. So I always start off the podcast by asking, who are you, what do you do, and who do you do it for?
Well, Joel, thanks for having me. Kirsten McGinnis. I oversee recruitment for a GovCon, IT government contractor called TechSnap out in the DC area, but we are nationwide and in 5 countries, so we are keeping busy.
Amazing. All right, and this is your first time at RecFest?
No, I've been here all 3 years.
You've been here all 3 years?
I'm a veteran.
Okay.
I am a veteran.
So you, now, this is good. This is good because I get a lot of first timers. How has the event changed? Like, what have you seen as like the biggest change from like year 1 to now?
The growth, just the growth in attendance, the growth in the extra, I call it all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
The content, it's changed.
Just all AI now.
It's all AI, but there's all an AI component, it seems like. But it's the growth has just been exciting for Jamie and team.
Yeah, I love it. And I know, obviously, there is a lot of AI vendors out there. What are you excited about? What are the things that you're seeing work with your team? How are you implementing AI into what you do? And is there anything that's kind of caught your eye as you've been looking around? And maybe not specific vendors, but just things that they're doing and things they're up to.
Sure. We are in the infancy phase. Even as a tech company on the recruiting side, we're in the infancy phase. So for me, my goal just today was to sit into sessions of people that have implemented it.
Yeah.
And the steps that they took to get from zero usage to how quick can we get to fully implementing it into practices that make sense within our processes.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece, right? You got to know your own process, know how you can implement AI in, and like you said, it is infancy. Is there anything that surprised you about any of the vendors or anything that you've seen where you're like, all right, you know what, I could implement that into my process?
The interviewing scares me a little bit.
Okay.
But now is the time to ask those questions, to have the conversations, to see if it's something for certain positions, certain contracts, certain customers, or certain recruiters that we might be able to take that from not doing it to, is it something we can entertain?
Yeah.
And more importantly, will our customer, the candidate, how will they feel about that? Because we're in the GovCon space. It's cleared work. It's a little different than service industry or something else.
Yeah, super niche. You're probably relying a lot on referrals, network, and who you know. So how important it is for you then in your process to really kind of keep that human, that candidate experience in there?
So important. So important. We want them to know that they're talking to a person. We try to build those relationships, and because it takes time, it might take 2, 3, 4 emails or phone calls before they pick up the phone or respond to that email. And by then, we want to have known them as a person.
Yeah.
So, and we want them to know us as a company, as well as the recruiter that they're working with.
Yeah.
A lot of our relationships start from just a resume on, name a job board, and then continue after they've been hired, or even months after they have that first conversation where they return back to us and say, hey, I'm ready for a move within the company, or I think I'm ready to go here. How do I get there? Or, hey, we had a conversation 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What do you have for me? Do you have something that might align?
What's because it's been coming up a lot obviously it's easier right now to send messages. It's easier to DM people. It's easier to put out content. What do you think the key is to really keeping those relationships going, and like how do you kind of train your team, or how do you kind of keep relationships going long term and kind of balance, those volume of messages that you have to send out to how you nurture relationships? Like what's the key to that in terms of just building relationships?
Finding that relationship to nurture, because you want to nurture them all. You absolutely want to nurture them all, and there are ways that you can do that.
Yeah.
But for us, it's find the candidates that you've connected with, and then figure out how you're going to nurture them. Which way do they want to be nurtured, rather? Find out how you're going to do that. It could be phone calls, it could be emails, it could be text messages. Just simple, hey, just thinking about you. How's your week been?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot sliding into the DMs, and that is such a
weird
foreign term for me to use in recruitment. But it makes sense. You have to go to where the candidate's at. You can't wait for the candidate to come to you, and you have to meet them where they're at. If they want the text message, give them the text message. If they want the email, send the email.
Yeah.
They want to meet in person. We encourage that. It's rare that we get to do that nowadays because of just where my recruiters are at and where our candidates are at. But if we can make it happen, we want to.
Yeah, it's funny because I've seen a lot of content recently around Gen Z, maybe like Gen A. I guess they're predicting like almost like unplugging and kind of getting away from emails and social media, and I think a lot of people are predicting there's going to be a push away from that. Is there a world that you could see recruiting being more like going to events and meeting people? And I guess how do you kind of play that into your strategy as well?
I wish there was someone with early careers sitting here, because I would love to know what they're seeing. But having a 21-year-old myself, I see the same thing. She used to be very much into social media, and now it's text messaging.
Okay.
Don't email her.
Yeah.
Don't email her. Like, she might email me and then say, "Mom, I haven't responded in 5 minutes." But, I wish I knew what the next thing was going to be. People said TikTok for a really long time, and no, that's social media. It's not where we're going to be. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a blog that we set up. I'm not sure yet.
How do you, obviously there's a lot of noise out there like we were just discussing. How do you kind of coach recruiters on how to stand out from that noise? So you're reaching out to a candidate that doesn't know you. What are the kind of things that you do to stand out and just really kind of look different from everybody else that's reaching out?
Yeah. Set yourself apart and do your homework. Don't send the if you will, the AI email, the one that gets generated for you. For you. Yes, that's easy.
The personalized
message. Take it, because it's going to still save you time, but still personalize it a little bit more. Figure out where that person's at. Where did they go to school? Do you have a connection there? Did you see them post something via LinkedIn or another platform that might intrigue them? Everyone has their own flavor to that. I get personal. Yes, I get personal in email, or I get personal in my messages, but not too personal, right? And then highlight what the why behind your reaching out to them. It's so important. Like why me, or why you, and why they should choose us or text an app or that position, or even pick up the phone or have a conversation, and build that connection rate. We have a new platform, and I've been watching the response rate, and we're at about 50 to 75% on responses on this new platform. And I think it has a lot to do with just taking the time after the sourcing piece to really personalize that message.
It's really interesting because I know a lot of tools that I've seen out there promise the personalization, and usually it's been boiled down to past companies you've worked with or something from a profile. What tips would you have for people on like really, how to do that research, and like how long should they spend? Like where do you usually just go to the LinkedIn profile? Like what's your advice for people on like how to dig a little bit deeper, and like what's that approach while still keeping it somewhat scalable so you can kind of keep that volume up?
Company is great, of course, because that's what the personalized message does. If you're on LinkedIn, where have they posted? What have they liked?
Yeah.
Do you have a group? because you can normally see that in some of the profiles very quickly. Do you have a group that you're connected to, and maybe you saw something that they may have been interested in, or they may be interested in from that particular group?
Are you finding people are more engaged now on LinkedIn than maybe before, or you kind of see it down? Like, what's that been like?
Yes and no. I say we, the collective we on the team, we use it more as when they haven't reached out to us through another point of contact or another 2 points of contact. A lot of our recruiters are using LinkedIn as that third point, and that's where they're getting the connection, because now the name's not foreign to them, or the company's not foreign to them.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So 3rd year at RecFest.
Yeah.
For people who aren't used to going to conferences, or maybe they're considering going to RecFest next year, what's your approach to making it a successful conference, and like what makes a successful conference for you, just as an attendee?
As an attendee, yeah, absolutely, great question. Look at the schedule. Look at who's going to be there and map it out. If you're trying to do that day of, you're going to miss opportunities.
Yeah.
So take the time to look at the schedule, map out who you want to see, map out what booths you want to visit, and kind of get your game plan so that you're stuck in the moment, not the phone or the map, and trying to figure out where you're going to go.
That happened to me today.
No,
I got lost.
You got lost.
Walked around in a circle. I started sweating. It's crazy.
No, it's 2:35 Nashville time, and I just realized there's a 4th stage right here. I couldn't find it, so
I love it.
Yeah. And then to walk away from it, you can be so overwhelmed after 2 days.
Yeah.
But I used to pick 5 things that I wanted to do or implement as I got back, or take a deeper dive into. And then I heard another session today. She said, pick just 3. You're going to accomplish 3. And I was like, that makes sense. Normally I get to 4. Sometimes I get to the 5th, but I always get to 3.
Well, what advice in terms of maximizing those connections as well, right? Because you mentioned there's so many people, you get overwhelmed easily. So do you have a way to connect during the conference, and then what's your kind of game plan afterward, or how do you kind of keep those conversations going?
Yep. So when I sit in a session, I'm connecting with someone on LinkedIn and sending them a message immediately about something I saw in their presentation, because that reminds me what I heard, especially if I'm still doing that messaging through LinkedIn. And in some cases, you're exchanging phone numbers, you might be exchanging emails, but setting that time to make sure that you connect within the next probably 7 to 14 days. Let it all digest.
Keep that
then
that momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. I think, I know for me, my first conference in person was 3 years ago at RecFest. So that was the first one I went, and I remember that's how it was. It was you're overwhelmed, there's a lot of people. And just even taking that time after each day to decompress and look at, okay, what have I learned? What have I taken away? Who did I meet that was impactful? And then just making sure that you follow up. Otherwise, I think you just, you can get lost in there. What about with vendors? What are the things that you're looking at when you go to an event? Because obviously, I think they got over 100 vendor sponsors, which is huge, which is awesome.
That's great.
But what are the types of things that you look for? In choosing a vendor, or where to spend time, and how do you kind of decipher between what each vendor is doing to really figure out what solution is going to work for you?
Sure. So last year we thought we were going to be shopping for an ATS, so that's where I focused. I want to talk to the ATSs that were present. This year I took a little bit of a different approach, and it's what do we not have? Because the moment you need it, you have a lot of homework ahead of you to get from point A to point B, and then you have approval and then implementation. So this year it's what do we not have, and just go in with an inquisitive mind.
And then you're working with your internal tech team as well to kind of get an idea of what needs they have, or how does that work internally with the company?
Yeah, a lot of collaboration there. A lot of collaboration with our IT team, with HR, of course. And then this year to RecFest, we brought 2 members of our marketing team.
Oh, wow.
Because there's so much that they can take from this. So it's collaboration with them of, hey, I saw this vendor on the list. I would love for you just to go to have a conversation and see if it's something that makes sense. I sent them over to another booth to say, look at that setup. We've been doing some things with a lot of video and audio equipment. And I was like, oh, you're going to love that.
Yeah, are you doing a lot of content within their recruitment process as well, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So
we're getting there. We do a monthly Teams chat, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think we can expand on it from there. But it's coming.
I love
It's
it.
coming, yeah.
So where's the best place for people to connect with you? So anyone who's listening, they want to connect with you. Where's the best place?
Absolutely. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I am the only Kirsten McGinnis on LinkedIn, so I'm very, very, very easy to find.
Yeah, if you can't find it, you are not a real recruiter.
The trick is to spell Kirsten. But that's the best place. Let me know how you found me and would love to connect.
I love it. And are you planning on being here next year as well?
That's the plan.
Yes.
That is the plan.
I
Travel
love that.
schedule allows, absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I hope you have a good rest of the conference. And guys, thank you for listening and tuning in. If you're listening live, it's great to be with you guys at RecFest. And if you're listening afterward, it's great to have you on the podcast as well. Recruiting is no joke. And I would give a special shout out as well to Purple Acorn and Basic Capital as well. And speaking of which, we do have a special gift from Basic Capital as well.
Gifts. Thank
you. Can't go wrong with a
Absolutely.
gift. Always remember that gifts are great.
Gifts are great.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. It's
Thanks,
great
Joel.
to meet, and hopefully we'll talk soon again.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Don't ever cut me off.
I'll start.
All right, welcome to Recruiting is No Joke Live. We are live from RecFest 2025. I want to give a huge shout out to the Purple Acorn Squad. We're live in the Purple Acorn tent. If you haven't been by, stop by. I also want to give a special shout out to Basic Capital for making these conversations possible. And I'm excited today. We're going to talk to two great guests at once. So we got a 2-for-1 here. I always say, let's get started with some introductions. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for?
I'm Nate Taylor. I'm the head of growth for Basic Capital. So super appreciative of you guys having us on. Basic Capital is a new type of 401k that gives everybody more investing power. So any plan participant can put $1 in, get $4 of financing, and get $5 of investing power. And it really changes the game for businesses. They see their participation rate jump up. They see that individuals actually participate more. And it actually plays a role in recruiting. And that's why we're sitting here next to Casey.
Yeah. Casey, who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for?
I'm Casey, so I lead growth over at Service Professionals, so recruiting and marketing, and we're a residential home services company. So I bring on plumbers, electricians, HVAC professionals all across North Jersey.
Yep. So you guys did a talk just now. It was awesome. A lot of questions around how you can use something like a 401k or like financial planning for the future actually as a recruiting tool, a retention tool. So Casey, I'd love to start with you. Obviously, you're recruiting a lot. You're recruiting tradespeople, which we all know. We just had someone else on who was doing trades recruiting. It's super tough, hard to find that talent. How big of a difference has been talking about retirement and kind of painting that vision for what you can offer? How big is that in the recruiting process, and how have you seen it implemented so you're actually bringing it up to candidates?
I'll tell you, recruiting in the trades is very different. You're dealing with folks that don't have resumes, and they're catching you in between calls in their truck. But what we found is a big challenge is once you actually get to the finish line with somebody that you like, the dollar amount on their hourly in our region, it's more or less the same.
Yeah.
So in order to stand out, you needed something else. And for us, we started looking at what other fringe benefits, what other things part of total rewards can enhance that offer. And for us, a 401k, an innovative one, actually drove a lot of really good conversations. We had a couple of our technicians, like as soon as they joined in, they made sure they referred other people. They told other people about it. They made us interview their kids and be like, hey, you need to think about saving for the future.
That's so cool.
It was an important conversation in a really tight-knit market.
I always say the best recruiters are happy employees, right? They're going to refer other people, especially in those markets too. It's super tough. Nate, one of the things that you talked about in the talk was these traditional 401ks, right? And I think you even asked the crowd in there, you were like, how many of you guys know about 401ks or we're well versed? And no one put their hand up. I'm curious, in terms of what you're doing, how important is it to educate people on how important thinking about your retirement is, and having that those customizable features? How important is that, and why don't you think enough people are talking about this, especially employers as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think the reality of the situation is existing providers aren't meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
And the market hasn't changed a lot in 45 years. So 401k is really important, but when somebody's recruiting, 401k is a line item and no one spends any time on it. People spend time on it if it's not there, but if it's there, it's table stakes.
Yeah, it's usually just a match, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we do a match. That's usually what I hear.
We think that's a pretty big problem. That's the main way that people build wealth. That's the main way that people can fund their retirement.
Yeah.
And so it needs to be more than just a line item, and that's what Basic Capital does. When we come here to RecFest, one of the interesting pieces of feedback we get, first question we get is, why is a 401k at RecFest?
And then they're like, well, are you not an AI tool for sourcing?
100%. I can't believe we don't have AI in none of our messaging. But a really interesting conversation I had today with somebody who's in charge of talent branding for a 1,300-person company, hiring 400 people this year, is that he needs every tool in his tool belt to talk about why people should come to his company. There are competitors that do the same thing. And benefits is not something he can really dwell on for very long. And we want to change that. We want to be
Love
a
that.
recruiter's best friend by making 401k something that people really talk about.
Yeah.
And we put our money where our mouth is. Like, people do participate more, people participate more deeply, and we have a really unique set of features. And so, again, the recruiter might not be the ultimate decision maker within a business, but they're the canary in the coal mine, they're the squeaky wheel, and really talented ones that have a seat at the table know how to get the attention of the head of benefits, they know how to get the attention of the CHRO or CEO, and listen, this is a strategic benefit without the strategic cost. There's no incremental cost to going to basic capital. In many cases, you're saving money.
Wow.
And if you can get that added benefit and you can get a better tool to recruit people, why wouldn't you?
I love that. Better than LinkedIn Recruiter, right? Just keeps on going up. We love LinkedIn. Casey, one of the things you talked about was how when you're talking to candidates, they really get that sense that leadership at the company actually cares about their retirement, right? And I think you shared a story of was it your grandfather worked in the trades, worked till he was 75, basically worked until he couldn't work anymore. How important has that been in communicating to candidates about the company culture? Just being able to communicate, hey, our leadership team, we care so much about you actually being able to retire that we're helping you invest in your future. What are those conversations like?
So I was actually, I was quoting a senior technician that we brought on, and I had asked him, all right, what was it? What put us over the edge before he wound down his company? Why did you choose us? And he's like, the fact that you guys are trying to innovate on that front, or you're actually thinking about our future in the field, shows me that's a culture signal.
Yeah.
And that was offered up by him. That wasn't the buzzword I threw in there, and that quote kind of stuck with me. All right, we need to signal to technicians and to folks in the field that we care, and that we're actually backing it up and substantiating it with some vehicle, some way for them to do it. And I think the trades is due for it. It's a part of, it's an industry that I think has been neglected. A lot of folks are thinking of it as an afterthought, and they're not taking care of themselves, and we want to change the conversation a bit.
Yeah, 100%. Nate, I want to ask you too, real quick. One of the things that I found in recruitment is when we start talking about benefits and we start talking about these things, people they seem to shut down. So, what would be your advice to recruiters, HR leaders, in having these conversations with their team? How do you get people excited about the future?
You're talking about employees.
Employees, yeah.
I think money really matters and retirement really matters. I think that there are a handful of things. One, Jensen Huang at NVIDIA talks about how he's proud that he's minted more millionaires than any other company.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to have NVIDIA stock to give out. Not everybody is going to have that explosive growth. But everybody can have a 401k. And if you've got a business that really prioritizes that, and you go to your team and say, I want to make sure that there's the most amount of 401k millionaires of any company, and here's what I'm doing to change that, but you're going to have to work with me. You're going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to contribute, and if you have questions and that's stopping you from contributing, we have to talk about that. And by the way, we're going to work with a company that really cares about that. What we do is we show up in person. We onboard teams. We do it department by department. We're really available. If somebody reaches out to us for support, they're a participant. It takes us 14 minutes to respond to an email. And that's huge. People can't lose faith in the system, and they can't feel like they're numbers on a big spreadsheet. And I think that that's what recruiters need to lean into. That's what the HR team needs to lean into. And it starts with picking the right partner.
Love that. Yeah, and I think, too, one of the things, too, people don't do that best work, right, when they have anxiety around the future.
Oh, yeah.
And, I've worked in environments before where people live in paycheck to paycheck, and if they're not actually feeling secure, they're not going to get the best work done. They're not going to be able to retain them. I know we're running out of time here, so I want to just kind of finish with this last question. I take it for both of you, this is your first RecFest. What's been the best part of RecFest for you, Casey, being a recruiter, being someone that's actively a practitioner?
For me, I like keeping a pulse on what's coming next. I think the challenge, particularly for me with recruiting folks in the trades, we don't have resumes handy. We don't have a lot of the traditional avenues to recruit people into. So being able to understand what's coming tech-wise, how can I make the candidate experience easier? How can we have a more enticing offer for a candidate? So keeping a pulse on what's happening in the industry.
I love it. And Nate, for everyone else, where's the best place to connect with you? Basic Capital, where can people find out what you guys do and what you offer?
Yeah, so basiccapital.com.
Keeping it simple.
Basiccapital.com. Yeah, really straightforward. You can come there, you can learn more about the product. We've got videos that explain the product. You can book a call with me, with our head of employer strategy. You can read the case study from Casey's company. You can read the case study from other companies we've worked with. And we'd love to have a conversation. We know it's a long one, it's a big decision, but that's the best way to do it. Basiccapital.com.
Basiccapital.com. Well, guys, thank you so much. It was great connecting,
Thanks,
great hearing the talk. And for everyone who's listening at RecFest, it's great to be here with you guys. And if you're listening to the podcast after, go to basiccapital.com, connect with Casey and Nate, and we will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
I like it. Feedback's my love language. I got notes too, so.
Be pretty chill. Well, I look at him for right now, and then we're done. So, we left. Cool. Keisha Kruger, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here in Nashville.
Yeah. So, I think we made a pledge before to we're probably not going to talk about AI, which we might be the first people all day. We'll see if we can hold strong to that. So talk to us about this. What do you do and what you're going to be speaking about this week?
Yeah, so just before I got on, I was telling you how I come with a little bit of a unique perspective in that I'm classically trained in organizational psychology. That's my background. I do organizational behavior. Currently, I am the VP of People and OD at a company called ORC, or OR colon, and so we are a right-of-way professional services firm. And we help government and public sector and utility age entities kind of acquire land rights. So it's a very niche market under real estate. But in my role, I don't really need to know all of that. I don't need to be technical because the common denominator in the work I do are people.
Yeah. I love that. So what does, and I think I'm learning about the phrase organizational depth for the first time. So can you explain that to me and kind of break down what exactly is that? What incorporates into that work? Yeah.
Thanks for asking. That's such a great question. You definitely did your research. So that is a proprietary framework that I've actually been developing in my doctoral program that I'm at UNC Chapel Hill. So it's going to be part of my dissertation. And so what I've noticed in my experience working with clients, working with different companies, is that as companies hit those points of growth, those inflection points, what they try to do typically is they try to grow wide instead of deep. So think about adding more products, more services, more people, but they don't necessarily have those deep foundations like structure, infrastructure within the company in terms of processes, clarity in roles, things like that, the leadership capabilities. So what I found is that usually you can diagnose an organization's problems across 4 barriers or 4 domains, and that is the structure, the leadership, the culture, or the adaptability. So how open to change are you? So those 4 areas really helped identify kind of what is keeping and preventing an organization from hitting that growth or inflection point. So overall, we're talking organizational resilience to get it back to where you were talking about.
I love that. So I think self-diagnosing is pretty popular nowadays, especially this decade. And now with AI, everyone thinks they can kind of figure out stuff and learn stuff in the moment. Maybe I'm guilty of that at times myself. But what's a way that organization or leader can kind of self-diagnose or kind of have some red flags of, hey, this is maybe an area that like we need to work on?
Yeah. In terms of self, so I think about systems. I'm a very systems thinker. So I think about the individual, the team, the organization, right? Then you can think outside of the enterprise, community, country, all of that. So when I think about going back to your question about how to really diagnose, I think it comes down to how self-aware you are as an individual, because you can be self-proclaimed and self-diagnosed all you want, but if you don't have a good internal knowledge or understanding of who you are and how you're showing up, how you're being experienced, especially as a manager and leader, then how are you going to be able to diagnose yourself properly and accurately? So even if you wanted to, sure, go ahead. If you want to be on the culture train and self-diagnose, totally fine. But what I would say is always get feedback from others. So kind of think about your typical 360 without being all formal and being an assessment. Gather that feedback. When I administer leadership or personality assessments, oftentimes you can tell how self-aware someone is by how much they agree with the results or the outcome of the report. And so I've had individuals that would fight me on that. And I said, well, who put the responses into the survey to get that outcome? Because all assessments do is just provide a different lens or framework to look at yourself. So it's a mirror, right? So then I say, all right, if you disagree with the results, why don't you ask your spouse if they see anything there? And usually they come back to me and they're like, Keisha, you're right. My spouse said this was 100% accurate. So that's okay though. That's growth too, because then you get that feedback, right? That feedback loop feeds back into you. Now you can then apply what you've learned and be even better and stronger at understanding who you are and how you show up.
I love that. Spouse, maybe ex-spouse.
Ex-
Could go a few
To each
different
his their
directions
own,
on
yeah.
that. So what have you, work has changed significantly this decade. Obviously, we don't have to go into kind of all that, but what are you seeing as transformational now with teams and leaders? Like, what are people kind of looking at? How are they attacking? Like, I would say the workforce issue of it could be remote schedule, hybrid, in person, how we manage people virtually versus in person. Like, is there anything that's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb that you're able to address that's been pretty transformational?
Yeah. Have you heard of this thing called AI?
I have not.
Never?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
I feel like
Al?
it's really
Yeah.
well, let me tell you about
Yeah.
it, okay? No, I mean it's really hard to not say that as what is considered a transformational trigger in the world of the future of the workplace and kind of what those trends are. Being in our space, in the people space, we likely can look and see a lot of those trends. We can see patterns around, RTO mandates or well-being in the workplace and how to expand engagement strategies and things like that. And AI is still really right now new, right? So I know we've really tried to stay away from AI, but I have to sink into it just a little bit, because I just actually led a design thinking lab with at an OD conference with a group, and we talked a lot about fear versus hopes around AI. So we did this exercise called empathy mapping. And so we're looking at, across generations, whether it's Gen Z or baby boomers or, Gen X, what are you feeling about AI? And most often the responses were leaning towards fear. So I said, let's dig into that. What's the fear? So we mapped that out. And, to people who have fear around how AI is maybe going to contribute or shape or change the way that we work, I say this: there's nobody here on this planet that has more than 10 years of experience working with AI in the way that we're working with it today.
True.
And so to me, that says there's no playbook. which means we can't be wrong unless we're talking ethics. So I'll just put that as a disclaimer. And what's really cool and really exciting, at least from my perspective, is that it's the first technological advancement that women are able to have the same level of contributions and shaping and influence on AI as men as a starting point. So very, very exciting, because now you're seeing a different contribution come in and talk about ethics and empathy and compassion and bringing our valuable traits to defining AI as women. And then overall, AI is going to change a lot of different things, but what's most important to remember is the people at the end of the day. They're the ones that are going to be changed. And I'm not fearful because I'm participating in the change, and I think that gives me hope. It gives me hope that we have agency over it.
Well, I think the word participation, like anyone can participate,
Yes.
and it doesn't mean you have to go overnight, use all these things and agents and everything else and shortcut your job, but just a little bit, day by day, and talking to your manager about it and leaders and coworkers, and just like being a sponge and not trying to like expect like it's going to transform your life, but just participate a little bit. And it's going to get overwhelming in events like this for so many software companies, everything else. But you don't have to turn into a super $6 million recruiter like tomorrow or anything else like that. It's okay to just like let it soak in. And I do a lot of digital work with my clients and my recruiting clients, but I didn't really like go in on AI until this year. I mean, almost 2 years in, I was leveraging, we were using it, but I wasn't in a rush because the core of our business is still people and relationships and a lot of business development. It's like you still have to get to know the person on the other side. Absolutely. So that still ended up being our focus. But now it's like, okay, how can we leverage this to become better, to upskill quicker, to have our employees learn faster and be a sponge, and give them the opportunity. Hey, here's everything about digital recruiter. Like, I'm curious how you take in that knowledge, and taking that in, how can I use your skills and empower you to come up with stuff with our company for our clients that I didn't even think of. Right? I mean, like, that's kind of how I'm seeing it, is like how to incorporate in the DNA of it, but not go like so crazy we lose who we are.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important human skills and components that we keep moving forward, that we should, in every sense, preserve is our ability to critically think, right? Because being able to challenge the status quo, challenge assumptions that are being fed back to us from a generative AI space, if we aren't doing that. So there's lots of research on critical thinking, maybe lessening or decreasing it with the use of AI, but there's also just as much research showing that you can actually amplify and accelerate your ability to have critical thinking depending on how you use it. So just like a muscle, if you stop using your brain, if you stop asking questions, if you stop thinking critically, you're going to lose it. You're going to give your power away. So as humans, the best thing we can do is hold our power, and that means thinking critically.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a time to look up a great lychee martini recipe, and then there's a time to actually use it to kind of think things through and kind of see how you can evolve and work quicker on stuff. And I like using it as like getting over those hurdles or those mental blocks. Of like, okay, that gives me a good thing to think about, but then like I can kind of create and build it from there. And I think for content marketing, for example, not just having an input and posting whatever it spits out, but really like working with it, to your point, like getting used to it every single day until you figure out like that line of what makes sense. It's like, okay, it's getting to know me. I can post this, but it doesn't look sloppy and everything else. I think there's kind of that line there. Kind of, you do get out what you put into it.
100%. And I would say for anyone that's feeling really overwhelmed or just not really sure where to get started, when was the last time you did a value analysis? I lead change management at my company, and change is personal, it's emotional, it's hard. It usually has some sort of a projection or a trigger for us, like when it comes to grieving the old way of doing things, right, as humans. And so I asked, like, when was the last time you asked yourself, what do you value? Start there. And then align an activity or an exercise or a task that you can try to trade out around AI. So if time is something you value, what's something that can give you your time back through the use of AI?
I love it.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited about to kind of present and talk about tomorrow?
Oh gosh, I'm so excited about not talking about AI tomorrow.
Yeah, there we go.
So this was, get this out of the way, right? Throw it out to the side. So tomorrow we're actually talking about the mindset shifts that talent acquisition or talent professionals need right now. They're being asked to be more strategic, more systems thinking than ever before, with more technological advancements at a pace that we're just not ready for, can't keep pace for. Resources are not increasing with that pace.
Yeah.
They're maybe even getting more stringent. So we're going to talk about how do talent leaders come to the table, the same table that C-suites and executive leaders, the ones that are making decisions, come to, because we have that space and we should be taking up that space and contributing to that conversation from a strategic, zoomed out view. How do you connect the dots across the business in terms of data, patterns, people, power, and create possibilities through storytelling?
Oh, I love it. I wish we had more time because I love
Yeah.
the storytelling
Mhm.
word, but I'm excited to tune in. And if you haven't, make sure to tune in tomorrow during the talk. Keisha, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is the Purple Acorn Network. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to give us a follow. Check out Keisha's talk tomorrow. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. But then we'll catch up after.
Yeah, for sure. You lead it, I'll just input.
Good. All right. Welcome back, Purple Acorn Live. My name is Clark Wilcox, founder, digital recruiter, and Purple Acorn partner. I'm joined by Daniel Harden at Hire Easy. Daniel, what's going on, man?
It has been an amazing day.
Yeah.
The sun is shining bright. It's hot out. A lot of information, a lot of takeaways so far at RecFest.
Yeah, I feel like Shaq at the free throw line, but we'll be all right. You know,
That's right.
Don't mind that. So, what's been biggest takeaway for you today?
One was Steve White. He is the head of talent at Sam's Club, and he talked a little bit about two successful coaches. I'm a big athlete. I love sports, and he talked about two of the bigger players in college football. Nick Saban, who is an excellent coach, and how he has built a dynasty and how you build a team, and it comes from leadership from the top down. He also talks about the 2004 Lakers when they had Kobe Bryant, Shaq. As you bring up Shaq, they had Karl Malone, they had Gary Payton, 4 Hall of Famers on the same team, and they couldn't win. So what was the fundamental problem of that? So he kind of dives in deep. Everybody needs to know their role specifically and empower your team to do what they're designed to do.
I love it. I wish I hit that talk up. That's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like a great talk. So for those that don't know, the uneducated, which if you're in the recruiting space, I'd be surprised if you don't know Hire Easy. But give us a breakdown of Hire Easy and what it is that you do.
Yeah, we're a full talent acquisition platform powered by agentic AI. Specifically, what I do there is I lead the customer marketing team. So any type of events, any type of webinars, any type of conferences, we want to make sure that the voice of the recruiters isn't lost in this whole wave of AI and agentic AI and all the other things going on. We really want to make sure that the communication and the conversations are being had with people and building relationships and building the community. I know at Purple Acorn, that's one of their missions too, is just connect dots with people, connect conversations to make an impact. And that's what I get up for and I get excited about.
I love it. Well, we both have, shall we say, humble recruiting roots. I've been commercial recruiters back at Aerotech.
Yes.
It's quite a journey to be in that seat, which I was in LA. I think you were in Minnesota.
Yes.
Right. So, like the cliff notes of the journey there. Like, how did that starting point kind of prep you for what you're doing now?
Sure. I think one of the biggest descriptive words a recruiter can have is can you adapt to the different environments and different ups and downs of this industry? From a foundational standpoint, Aerotech back in the day gave you the resources, the tools to understand what hard work is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then transition to building teams over at Amazon and AWS. And what that taught me was how to scale a process, scale a team, scale something to 10x. They always talk about how do you 10x something. Then transition to Meta, where it was more on the executive search side. So it had to be very specific people, very specific searches, and how are you going to be strategic to get those people to respond. All through those different journeys in my career set me up for doing this, of talking the talk, understanding what leaders are dealing with on an everyday within recruiting, and the pain points that they're hearing, and how do I provide a solution for them.
So you really had a blend of everything.
Yes.
Like the blend. So with that and having the exposure to different environments and being on the HR tech side, and what do you feel is like, if I'm going to make it as a recruiter, whether it's corporate, whether it's agency, like how do I have to approach like day to day? What does my mindset need to be successful the rest of this decade and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, the cliche is obviously dive into AI, but I would say dive into AI in a way that, what are you going to really focus in on the recruiting process? There's the recruiting workflow, there's probably 10, 12, 14 stages within that. It's not one button to complete the whole process and say it's going to fix everything. What's one specific area in that process that your team is going to get really, really good at? Or on the flip side, what are you really, really, really struggling at? We talk about a lot about, okay, what are the open rates and reply rates. Great, agentic AI can craft great messaging to get that. What's the funnel after that? How long does it take that recruiter to reach out to that candidate that replied? Maybe you start looking at those metrics, because typically if you're doing an AI drip campaign, they replied, that campaign stops for that individual. So are we going to measure how long is it going to take for that recruiter to actually reach out to them and get a face-to-face contact? I think that's a big takeaway. From a recruiting marketing standpoint, I think the biggest next wave of this is GEO. Are you familiar with there's SEO and there's GEO, right?
Is that the LLM version of SEO?
Correct,
Okay.
exactly, to sum it up. So generative engine optimization.
Yep.
How are companies going to be showing up in those LLMs to the candidates? If I was looking for a job right now, I would type in who's hiring for this specific role in Minnesota in my LLM. It's going to pull up those companies. I can start asking the ChatGPT or Claude of saying, give me some intel, give me some interview questions, who has the best work-life balance, who has the best benefits. It's going to give me all that details to create my search in my new opportunity. But if you don't have those reviews, you don't have those things that are showing up in on the social media, on your web page, your job descriptions, they're not showing up in the specific employer branding, you're not going to be able to be an X factor and stand out with all the other competition. So I think GEO is going to be the next wave of this from a recruiting marketing standpoint. And how is your company showing up in those?
What's a simple way to kind of start? If I am a company that wants to improve employer marketing, maybe I want to try to do some things myself.
Yeah.
Like, what do you typically recommend?
Yeah, great.
Kind of on their own. Yeah.
Great question. A couple of them would be, look at your job descriptions right now. You know, I want a hard worker isn't going to show up in an LMM. I want, you know, those basic qualifications that are on every single job description. Rework those job descriptions and what exactly are you specifically looking for from the hard, you know, skills that you need, but also what else do you need in the opportunity, or what are you offering? Also, you know, blogging, having a blog, or again, a podcast. You know, one of the biggest things of how that's going to translate is the more conversations you have, there's transcripts out there talking about your company, you know, videos. How are you going to be in that algorithm from a social media standpoint? That's going to incorporate into those LMMs eventually, because the links are going to be there. So some of the takeaways is figure out a specific thing and how are you, for example, this podcast can get turned into a blog. It could get turned into a video. It could be on YouTube. It could be a short form video. You can dice that specific content up into 5 different categories in different avenues to get the increased visibility within those platforms.
Absolutely. The repurposing content, when you just create stuff that's evergreen. I'm going back to posts 2-3 years ago and seeing the themes that are relevant to this year and all that. And I have all that data from just putting myself out there. And it's so interesting just to see the trends and, I strayed away from this topic. I actually need to kind of go back to this topic. When you have that and you can look at some numbers, but also kind of gauge what is resonating with your market, and you have a full database, it's like it becomes easier and easier to create the more you do it, kind of just like that muscle building type of thing. So I guess the question from that is like, what got you to start being more public and posting, and what effect did that have for you?
Sure. Yeah. A big thing was, you know, I got laid off a couple years ago from Meta, big organization. Thought I was, you know, top of the pyramid, top of the mountain, and sometimes this industry picks you up and spits you out and makes you rethink and reteach and relearn. You know, I think it was the best thing for me because I had to retrain my brain of how to operate in a new environment and really going out and figure out who the people are in the space, like a Steve Levy or a Brian Fink or some of those players that are doing speaking circuits, and it would reach out to them and says, hey, what can I do? How can I learn from you? And get me out of my comfort zone. I think that's the first thing is to be in the community, reach out, ask for help, and then you teach others as well.
You got to give more than you get.
100%.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing for me is this year we did a virtual recruiting conference, and we had over almost 4,000 people sign up for it. And people are like, that's great, Dan. How did you do it? And it wasn't me. It was creating an environment that's a safe space to have knowledge shared and having the speakers kind of speak on it your behalf, essentially. It wasn't me. I didn't speak. It was making sure that just like this, information is coming back and forth and really elevating and helping each other out to increase the recruiting efforts within our industry. Because if we're not fighting for it, nobody is going to, and the industry is going to be broken or dead in the next couple of years. So we got to fight for every single penny, every single ounce, and get better.
You just got to show up. Show up today, 1 follower, 100, it really doesn't matter. You just keep getting up there, you'll find your tribe, and I love that. So for the audience, I mean, Hire Easy is like a known tool, but how do you recommend someone, you know, with all the tech that's out there, you guys have been around longer than most, like, who is Hire Easy for?
Sure. So it would be for, you know, enterprise, mid-market, enterprise teams that are really wanting to elevate, obviously, the sourcing efforts, but also integrate with your current ATS. We have rediscovery, we have all this other stuff within it, backed by agentic AI. The cool thing about Hire Easy, a lot of people say, hey, we have agentic, we have AI, we have this and that, but they don't show the product. They don't show anything. They just kind of talk about it. On our webpage, our website, we show it. We have webinars. We show the product. So you don't have to sit through, an hour-long session with a salesperson just to see the product, feel a product, and make sure that it's going to be the right fit for you. Not every organization, it will be the right fit, but we want to make sure that if it is the right fit, we're going to set you up for success for that.
I love it. I've had a couple of clients swear by it and love it, and I've always been impressed when I've seen the platform. So, damn, dude, appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah,
We get to officially meet you in person.
Yes.
And enjoy the rest of your RecFest, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, man. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Make sure to follow Purple Acorn, follow Dan. Paffenholz?
Paffenholz, yeah, it's tricky. It's German.
Okay, all right, I got it right. All right, welcome back to Purple Acorn live here at RecFest 2025 in Nashville. I'm joined by a very special guest, David Paffenholz. I think I named it. Jeremy, I got it right.
Perfect.
CEO of Juicebox. I think one of the biggest upstarts in the AI HR tech community right now. I just did a demo earlier this week. Platform was awesome. Dave, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So what brings you to RecFest?
For sure. So, to be honest, it's a good time. It's a nice casual setting to meet a bunch of our prospects, customers, partners, and more. We did the UK version, and now we're here in the US version.
Nice. And so for those that don't know, which I don't know who that is right now, but describe it, like, what is Juicebox?
For sure. So Juicebox is an AI recruiting platform. What that means is we help our customers find the best talent. We do that by aggregating a bunch of different data sources and then having natural language search on top of that data. And so you could think of it as easy as describing to a colleague, this is the candidate I'm looking for, help me find them, and Juicebox will go out and do it for you. From there, we provide contact data, outreach, so be that email sequencing, phone numbers, and more, and help you manage all of that as well, while syncing with your ATS.
It's definitely comprehensive, and seeing it, and I work with recruiters all day, every day. I've heard only good things having seen the platform. I can completely get it. Like, what are you seeing, like, with people that use Juicebox? Like, what are some of the best ways to leverage it that recruiters are doing right now?
Yeah, the there's a kind of a surface level thing that I feel like oftentimes people think of first when they see Juicebox, which is time saving.
Yep.
And so like, okay, I'm saving a bunch of time. I used to have to set all these filters manually. I used to have to click through thousands of profiles, and now I'm only doing a fraction of that because it's helping me surface them. And the speed is important, and I think that's always there. But then there's kind of the second level thing, which is trying to raise the bar in terms of how does one even search? What profiles is one looking for? What is the quality bar we're trying to set for a given role? And I think that's where we can be most impactful by helping you come up with different search strategies, helping you find profiles in a different way, and frankly, people that might not have been outreached to at all for a given role. And so to sum that up, I think one, the speed part, but two, and to me even more interestingly, the quality of matches that we can help you find.
Absolutely, and then just the piece of like, what I loved was you have the search, you have your inputs, right? You can kind of talk as you want, you have the Boolean, but that's going to find people every day if you keep honing it in.
Yep.
So for those that don't know, like, talk about that feature a little bit, because I know that's kind of like the wild piece of it, of like, if it can get that right, it's just a kind of a complete game changer.
For sure, yeah. So I think that's the Juicebox agents, which are our kind of fully autonomous version of sourcing. Really what that means, as you described, they go out and find new candidates for you every day. But most importantly, they actually learn from the candidates that you then accept or reach out to every day. And so if you're approving a bunch of them, but we could notice that you consistently reject candidates who have too many years of experience or maybe don't have a specific skill set or experience, it'll auto-adjust the search and show you more of the right profile the next day around. And it does that all in a very transparent way. It'll actually show you, here's who we think you're looking for, here's the criteria, and here's how that's updated from one day to the next because we noticed that you didn't move forward with a given candidate. And so that like self-improving, getting better every day part of it is where we see the biggest value.
Well, if someone hasn't demoed it by now, they're definitely going to after that breakdown, if you're any recruiter. But what inspired you to start Juicebox?
Yeah, so Juicebox is actually my first full-time job in the sense that I started the business right after college together with my co-founder, and that was in 2022. We actually started off in a slightly different direction. So we were actually running a recruitment marketplace. I like to joke we were the world's worst recruiting agency in that we were looking for talent, onboarding them, and we were just kind of trying to teach ourselves. Fortunately, a bunch of people in the industry were generous with their time and helped us get up to speed. But most importantly, we realized like how hard search is and how hard it is to find the right candidates. And this was before ChatGPT was out, so before the whole ChatGPT craze. And we thought, hey, we've seen this problem quite in depth. There's this new paradigm of technology in the form of large language models. Can we use that in combination with this problem to create a new type of solution? And so that's how we went about creating the first version of Juicebox, pure software to help you find the right match for your role. And then took us a while to build that out, and then started commercializing 2024 and grown from there.
It's amazing. So you started this right before the LLM boom, right, of like what, March 2023, right, end of Q1, early Q2. What did that do for you and your co-founder? Like when that happened, how did that change your kind of world and your reality?
Yeah, so at the time, the latest model generation was GPT-3 before ChatGPT launched. And then ChatGPT launched in tandem with GPT 3.5, which is when LLMs started getting smart enough that there was actually a real consumer use case, that you could use it to do your homework for students, that you could use it in your job and more. And back then it was like, you might remember it was like still a lot of hallucinations in there and you couldn't like quite trust it, but one could kind of see that there was some potential. And that's the same way we felt about the application of LLMs to talent search. And so the initial versions of our product were not very good. Like we were not giving you the right results. It was like maybe a 50-50 hit or miss rate. But we saw the potential and we thought, these models are going to continue to improve. We can continue to improve our search, and then bringing those two things together should make a really big impact.
I love that. Crazy. First full-time job, you starting your own company post-college. I'm wildly impressed because I was not nearly anywhere close to what you're doing at your age. What do you feel like you're the CEO, the visionary, what do you feel like is coming down the pipeline? Like what should people be thinking about? What do you think is going to be coming, with AI as it gets more refined and we start to figure out how to live with it more? What do you kind of forecast down the road?
Yeah, I think AI, so LLMs are going to continue to get smarter. I think AI is going to become more ubiquitous. And then I think specifically in talent acquisition, a lot of the pain points that are being solved individually right now, or that still require manual workflow, that still require going into the ATS, really where a lot of the time is spent day to day in a recruiting function, I think a lot of those are going to be solved by self-improving, learning, agentic systems that are able to do some of those workflows. And so, in our case, we focus most on the sourcing side. I think there will be similar things for other verticals and workflows. And then I think the really interesting trend that reveals is we get to be a lot more selective of where we deploy our time. What do we actually, where can we as humans add the most value? Is that in a candidate-facing role? Is that in a strategic role of deciding where do the agents get deployed? And so I think there's like this whole new paradigm that will open up that I'm quite excited about.
I'm with you. I think it is just like I've kind of always said it'll make maybe the not so great recruiters, the sourcers, maybe a little bit more obsolete, but good recruiters great recruiters almost unstoppable. And then it's like, how can one recruiter can almost act like they're 30 nowadays with the tools. This is even before AI, just with automation, and now with AI and with content marketing and podcasts like this and going to events, like you can be like, there's like super recruiters.
Yes.
All that. They're kind of like influencers, but they're still recruiting, and they can, if on the agency side, they could sell to, or if they're internal, they're building out whole teams. It's like, it's amazing what people could do. Like but how does like one get there, right? Like, what are your recommendations? Because you get to work with all these recruiting teams. Like, what do you feel is like, how should people like kind of tackle being almost like anti-fragile and being like a recruiter that's here to stay for the long haul and doesn't have to worry about layoffs or being part of that, like being like that dynamic TA member or like that HR member?
For sure. So I think one thing that is like tangentially related, and then I'll directly answer the question, is like I think there's often this narrative of like total recruiting team size shrinking, or like AI automation is going to take away those recruiting roles. I actually don't think that's the case. I think recruiting is just going to become more competitive. There will be more recruiting, and so there'll also have to be more resources deployed into recruiting, be that humans or agents. And then to more directly answer your question as well, of like, how does one stay competitive? How does one stay at the forefront of using those AI tools and really leverage them? I think I mentioned this in a talk as well. There's two things. One, doing the same things that a good recruiter does anyways. Because what we see is that the recruiters who are already performing the best are also able to use the agents the most to amplify themselves. And the agents, like, they learn from the recruiter's best practices. So if the recruiter is sending great outreach messaging, if the recruiter has unique search strategies and is trying new things, they will also use the agents to do the same thing. So it kind of amplifies that. And then the only other thing that I think gets added to it is communication, because in a way an agent is like a junior employee that you should manage. And management really relies on that communication. And so more one can instruct the agent and give it feedback, the better results one will get from that as well.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting point of, you don't necessarily want to amplify the average or the low performers. You want to like look at the kind of the agents, like who are your top performers, and create SOPs around that and everything else. Like that's where as an organization you can leverage them more. Like you kind of almost get the brains of your top performers. That's always one of the hardest things. Like the best sales rep, do they make the best sales manager? Right now you can kind of take the sales rep, their thoughts and all that, and like create SOPs and playbooks and all that, or recruiting manager, or your top TA person, and create the playbook from that versus having that person teach. That directly, because sometimes maybe they're not the most qualified teacher. Like Michael Jordan, they make the best coach. But he's also Michael Jordan, right? And so I think that is like really interesting, because like that's kind of what I'm seeing people like pivot and learn like pretty quickly. It's just like, well, we can take the playbooks and like amplify the whole team. And I think people that are doing that, it's like there's going to be, I think, just mega companies that come out of nowhere, probably like a juice box, right? And that are doing all that. It's going to be completely different in 5 to 10 years. Kind of like with the .com boom. .com boom. Like Google wasn't the first one, but they had the longest staying power and everything else. So it's super exciting. But what do you? I'll kind of pivot to RecFest, like an event. What do you like most about being at an event like RecFest and being in person in a world where we can do everything virtually? Like, what is it about being in person and meeting up with people that's like worth it to you?
So the Juicebox is actually fully in-person company. So our whole team is in San Francisco. We will probably open up an East Coast office too, but we're all in the same office, and I think we learn a ton from each other and learn a lot faster. I think there's a similar dynamic that gets created through these events, where being together allows for much faster learnings, getting to know best practices, and then also just challenging one's own assumptions of what's out there. Like I've learned a ton about new vendors, best practices, different takes people have that I would have probably just not been exposed to or like consumed that content at all. And so think in-person events, so fun. Great to also just build the relationships with people in person and learn a bunch of new things.
I completely agree. Well, David, appreciate you being here. Congrats on the success and just being an absolute rocket ship. So it's super cool. Great to meet you in person. Enjoy the rest of your RecFest, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. All right, well, that is it for this segment. Check out Purple Acorn. Follow us. Follow Juicebox. Take a demo if you haven't yet. What are you waiting for? Until next time, happy hunting.
Built-in brand is giving them away, and I was like, I'll take it.
Smart.
It's needed today. We're good? All right, Emily, thank you so much for joining today, and welcome everyone out there on the live interwebs. We are here with Purple Acorn. My name is Jada, taking over this segment for my podcast From the Desk with Jada Montemurano, and Emily is joining us right now. So give the lovely people out there a little intro.
Yes, my name is Emily Walsh, and I apologize, I'm losing my voice. I am a nurse by trade, but I now work in nurse recruitment at a hospital in Lubbock, Texas, which is West Texas area. Not many people know where that is.
Funny enough, I do. I know someone who worked in local news there.
Okay.
News is a small industry, so she worked in Lubbock. Yeah.
So I've been in that role for about 5 years. So
amazing. So what brought you here today? You said it's your first time at RecFest.
Yeah.
So what brought you out today now that you're in this new role?
Yeah, I'm always looking for ways to improve my practice. Like sometimes I feel stagnant in my role, so it's like I try to go and find something to kind of just boost. There's always so much to learn, and I'm always in like that healthcare space, and so I was really excited to do something that's more just like broad and not just healthcare.
So not to take you off guard, but is there anything today so far that you've learned, or anything that you've seen, anyone you've spoken to that's kind of inspired you, that's what you were looking for?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of AI sessions. We don't really use AI in my job, and so there's just it's all so new to me. I know it's so prominent right now, and so it's all just, any of that is very
Yeah, every booth is
Yes,
AI now, all this
yes.
new technology. And it's something I talk a lot about on my show because I'm someone who doesn't come from this world. I come from a news background. And just the influx of AI in this
Yes.
space is so new. And everybody keeps telling me, no, it's good, it's good.
I
like,
know.
we're using it. So for someone who doesn't use it much in their job, what have you kind of taken away from AI in the space compared to you guys not using it maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just still trying to find that balance of like the human touch, and that from like a nursing perspective, that's so important to me. Like, and I think that's why I've had some reservations with AI, because like I still want that human touch just as a nurse. Like that's what I do.
Yeah, you're in the people business
yes,
in both ways,
yes.
working from the nurse perspective, but also in the recruiting perspective.
I also know that like what I do in my role, like I make it so much harder on myself because I want to do it myself. Whereas if I could use AI, like it would be 9-day difference. So just trying to get that buy-in from
a little bit more helpful.
Yeah,
so if you were to like something that you saw here today at RecFest, is that something you go to your boss like and say, hey, this could be something that's helpful? Like how does that work in your field?
Yeah, so I report to the chief nursing officer. So I would just go, we have meetings monthly, and so I would just go to her and take this, and she would listen to the pitch, and then we'd kind of go from there. So
is there anything that you learned today or while you've been here that is something that you may take back?
I think so. Different companies try to explore. We've had demo calls before, and like financially, we haven't been in a place that we could do it. But I feel like we're kind of getting back to that place where financially we could. We had actually a cyber attack this time last year, and so, I mean it was a huge ordeal. And so we were still recovering financially, and so it was just like shut down everything. But now I feel like
trying to figure out the new next best way to use this technology to be safe, right?
Yes, and I focus on graduate nurses. Like that's my specialty in the recruiting world. And I had, applications open for a week, and we got over 300 for less than 50 positions. And so it's like, it's a great problem to have, but it's also like, I'm one person doing this. And so I think having the data as well, I can really kind of take back to her and say this is...
Yeah, so speaking off of that, you are in such a niche field in the recruiting world, but just based off the example you said, what we're going on right now in the world, a lot of what I like to talk about on my show is to broaden it to just the general public, the layman who may be watching. So you're experiencing that in nursing, just the influx of applications and not that many jobs, right?
And
how has that been for you?
It's honestly, I take it personally. Like I have the fate of their future in my hands, and I overthink it a lot, and they all look the same on paper. And I send them a questionnaire because like I said, it's just me, and I don't have the bandwidth to call all 300 of them. So I do like a questionnaire to try to really get to know them through the questionnaire, but still it's hard. Like you can tell they use AI as well to answer the questions. And so it's weird. Like they preach that there's this nursing shortage, but then in my hospital specifically, like we're at a weird, I don't really want to even speak into existence, but we're in like a weird spot of our vacancy's super low. And so it's like we do get to be picky, and we do get to, which is a good problem to have, but at the same time it's like I know I'm breaking hearts of 250 people.
And you said you've only been doing this for the past 5 years, so you're fairly new, and you've kind of been there in the post-pandemic new world that we're in. So have you just been experiencing this shortage, the supply-demand issue for the past few years, or was it a little bit better when you first started?
I actually started in the middle of COVID.
When the demand was super high, right?
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't get, we were bleeding nurses. Like, we could, or they were all leaving to travel because that's where the money was.
Yeah.
Because that's, and so now that's become more prominent, and that's what we see, like our turnover is because of the travel, people leaving to go to travel nursing because that's where.
So wild. Such a niche industry that you're in, and I kind of want to bring it to that. So you were a nurse by trade. What brought you into the recruiting side of it? What made you say, okay, I don't want to be a nurse ananymore?
I know. I mean, that is not what I went to nursing school with, and honestly, it was a hard transition. Like, I had to make peace with it, that this is what's right for me and my family in this stage of life. And I was getting my master's. I have my master's in nursing education, and I always thought, like, I want to go be a professor. Like, I want to teach. But then this role came open, and I knew it focused on graduate nurses. So I was like, I can still be in the hospital, but also still work with the schools and the graduate nurses and the students. And so it kind of like put my two worlds together. And I was like, I'll just do it for a couple of years. And then 5 years later, I'm still here, and I have no plans of leaving.
Yeah, you must love it. And like I mentioned earlier, on my show, I usually like to kind of broaden it up to maybe people not in the industry, people job hunting right now and things like that. So for someone who was so new to it, never planned on going into recruiting, was there anything that shocked you or any tidbits that you could tell our wonderful audience today about what it really is like to hire and to apply? Like, were there new things you learned that you never thought of before?
I mean, you don't realize, like, obviously I was on the flip side of it, like, interviewing and applying as a nurse, but, like, you don't realize, like, what all goes into it. Like, whenever you don't get a job, you're devastated, but then, like, seeing the other side of it, it's just, like, it's hard. It's competitive. Like, the job market sucks right now. Honestly. Like,
we talk about that all the time on my show.
So I mean, just kind of like really, and I think that also it helps that I have that nursing experience because I can really relate to them. Like, if they end up not getting, like, they may want ICU and we don't have enough positions for everybody to get ICU. And so, like, talking to them, like, look, I get it. This is your dream, but, like, go work here, get experience. So, like, I think they kind of take that more from me because I've been there. Like, I get it. Like, so I think knowing that they're talking to somebody who's literally been through the exact process they're going through, in my mind, I like to think that it helps kind of ease some of the nerves and stress. So.
Yeah, you were saying that this is very personal, and now with all these AI technologies coming out, it feels a little bit less personal. I know you right now aren't using AI so much in your space, but just from what you've been hearing and talking to and learning, how do you think it's best to combine the people, but also the use of that technology to make it a little bit easier? Like, where is that balance for you, do you think?
That's hard because, like, in my mind, I'm like, I want to look at every single resume. Like, I don't want to rely on AI to say, no, they're not good when they could just interpret it wrong. So, like, I'm always for change. Like, I will be the big proponent for change, but in this sense, like, I've had a lot of pushback because I'm just like, it scares me. Like, I don't want somebody to be overlooked because one tiny word on their, you know what I mean? So it's just, I think that's a challenge I have to take back and find myself is what is that balance? Because
And I think adding that personal aspect to a certain point works as well, because as you were saying, you were giving advice to people. You were telling people, okay, maybe look at this or apply here. And just for experience, I had someone in my life apply to a job. They didn't get it. They got an email back, and it was a personal email. And they were like, that just went a long way. Obviously, I didn't get the job, and that hurts. But just hearing from someone, and so if you're out there and you're a recruiter, sending a personal email to someone that you sit in front of an interview does go a long way. So bringing this big picture from your experience of doing it mostly personal, do you think that there is a way for recruiters that are using the technology to also be personal? Like, do we find that balance somehow?
I mean, we need to. Like, I've never been thanked before. Like, I never thought I would be thanked before for telling them they didn't get the job. They're just like, but thank you for letting me know. Like, they're like, our competitor hospital, like, they have like a third-party recruiting firm that's based out of the Philippines, and it's all AI. And they're like, even though I didn't get the job, like, thank you for letting me know. I'm like, I never had somebody thank me saying.
It's soul crushing.
It is.
You hear all the stories on the internet. Everybody's like, I'm sending thousands of applications out. I can't do this anymore. It's
and
so hard.
I dread those phone calls because they're like, what did I do? I was like, honestly, it's not you. And I hate it. Like, it's not you, it's us. Like,
I know,
you literally
it's the
did
breakup
nothing
term.
wrong. Yes. So it's hard. And but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that human touch, like, I will never be able to let go of that. And I know that a lot of that stems from me being a bedside nurse, but I try to translate that into practice and be as transparent and open communication as I can.
Well, I love that. I think everybody needs to be doing that. And usually on my podcast, From the Desk, I end the show with a broad question from someone who has been accepting applications now and doing interviews for this job market. What's one piece of advice you could share from what you've learned of how to stand out during this terrible application process, whether it's during the interview, just any tips you have that they could take away from today?
The biggest thing I tell people is just let your personality shine through. Like, we do not want to see a perfect Google rehearsed interview. Like, if you stumble on your words, if you have to repeat the question, if you need time to think about the question before interview, like, we want to see you're human, because I can't tell you how many times they come in, have a perfect interview, and then like become a nurse and we're like, this is not who we interviewed. Like, this is not who we want. So just be genuine, be transparent to an extent. Like, you don't want to overshare certain information, but I just think be genuine. Like, on the flip side, like, be human. Like, we understand you're human. And
especially in the world of AI where people are using it for resumes and applications.
And
when you get to that person-on-person stage, be a person.
Yes, and I can't fault them. Like, I
Of
use
course.
AI to word emails appropriately. So, like, I get it. They want to look the best, but I can tell when it's strictly AI versus you put your personal touch. So just be genuine as well.
Well, I love that advice.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Emily. And thank you out there, everyone, for watching us. Purple Acorn live at RecFest. My name is Jada. We'll be back in a few minutes with some more interviews. Stick around.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Purple Acorn listeners, viewers out there, wherever you're joining from. My name is Jada. We are back live here from RecFest. We are doing some live interviews from the table today with Jada Montemurano, and I am joined here with Jenny, JCK, JKC, which one?
JCK.
JCK.
So Jenny or Jenny Cody Kangas, and the initials for that are JCK. So a lot of people in the space call me JCK.
A lot of nicknames. I was asking ahead of time. I'm like, which one are we working with today?
Working with, absolutely, and here we are. I love this.
So while you're here, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do for all the people watching.
Absolutely. So my name is JCK. I am the VP of Innovation at GBS Worldwide. GBS is a talent attraction agency, so employer branding, IO psychology, technology. My focus is HR technology optimization and stabilization, or the acquisition of new technology.
Ooh, and that's what this all is about here today,
that's
right?
My jam. I'm the, when you go to buy it, and when something goes wrong, a lot of people call me because they're like, "This isn't working," and I'm like, "We got you. We got you. We got this. So just one step at a time."
Well, we were talking before we were officially live today about why Jenny has been coming to RecFest for so long. So that's one of the reasons. And also, you said it's one of your favorites. So explain, why do you keep coming back to RecFest? Why do you love it so much?
So I think in our space, there's a lot of different conferences, right? But this is one that's a little different in nature. So the talks themselves are a little bit more TED Talk-esque. And you get people who are at the top of their craft that are doing really incredible, awesome things. Now, as I'm a former talent acquisition and recruiting leader, if you're striving to be on the forward edge of innovation, or you're striving towards transformation, one of the best ways to be able to understand that how is to learn from those of you those have done it before. And RecFest does a really good job of collecting the dots of those leaders and then empowering them to be able to tell their stories. And so that's what I absolutely love about it. There's also something to be said, you do not see, if you look behind us here, you don't see a lot of laptops that are out.
No one's on their technology today.
That's different from a lot of the other conferences.
Interesting.
And so by design, it's my hypothesis that people have a little bit more separation from work, and it allows them to be able to actually take advantage of the things that are the purpose of coming here, which is building community, being able to learn, having a growth mindset, right? And so those are a couple of the reasons I love it. I'm excited to be co-hosting the Inspire stage tomorrow, which will be awesome. My incredible partner, Julie Levy. Please go pick out her book. It's right here. She's actually at the Shaker booth right now signing. I was like, I gotta go to the Shaker booth. So, but yes. Yeah.
And I was going to say, for anybody watching, we may look a little hot and sweaty right now, but there's so many fun things going on. There's games, activations, ice cream, coffee, hats.
I'm going to take off my glasses because they're going to start melting up because it's very, very warm here. It's very warm here, but you're right. There's a lot of really cool activations going on, some really fun booths. It's just been a great time. And so I think another difference with how RecFest is, the vendors are very intentional with their activations or how they involve other people in the space. And they do things that are a little bit more outside the box. So you've got people that are like putting your name on a bandana.
I loved that. I got one.
Hat. You can make your own hat. And so it's super, super fun. I got a capybara at an event last night. It was so fun. It was a Talent Collective event, which plug for Talent Collective. If you are a TA leader who's a female in the space, absolutely check out the Talent Collective. It is an awesome way to be able to network and grow your craft, to meet mentors and mentees and things like that. But they had an awesome event, and it was Pinpoint and Juicebox who were sponsoring. And Juicebox had these capybara stuffed animals that had strawberry hats on them, and they were so cute and so soft. But then Pinpoint had one of the smartest swags I've ever seen. They had Lush Cosmetics.
Oh my gosh, fancy. And I
So
thought my little fan I got today
I know, but so here in Nashville, there's not a lot of hotels. So a lot of us are in Airbnbs, and it's a little different because you don't have your shampoos, and your conditioners, and your soaps. And so this morning I was getting ready, and I was like, I freaking love.
And Lush is great.
We're
not sponsored, but
we're not
Lush is
sponsored,
great.
But they are a customer of Pinpoints.
Yes.
And I was like, I love this brand because now I have smooth skin. I've got the lotions, and you can eat it all, which is kind of crazy.
I needed to be at that event yesterday. Where was I? I was on a plane.
I don't know. Well, next time you're gonna have to come to the Talent Collective event, but yeah.
So from your space of always looking for the new technology for finding out what is best for your team, what have you learned so far? Is there anything that's jumping out at you that you've been seeing? I know every booth is AI this year. I don't know if it's been like that every other year in the past. So what have you been seeing this week?
Yeah,
or
so
today?
Actually, Eric, who's standing behind the cameras, we were at a dinner last night with Scalus, which is one of the newer vendors in the space, and got to meet Brandon, who's their founder, and had a lovely dinner with them, which I wasn't sold to at all. It was just an awesome community dinner, but being able to learn more about their technology, I was really impressed by it. So really cool, kind of redefining how we do AI, sourcing, screening, all that jazz. But I think one of the things that I've learned about technology in this space is it's really, really important to ask the right sharp questions.
Yeah.
To be able to understand not the what or the why for a technology, but you really want to be able to understand the how. So that how question is absolutely imperative. And not only that, but that how question goes a little bit deeper, and it's how do you support companies that are as big as me or have this type of complexity as me? Like when I used to lead talent acquisition, I had 60 brands that I represented, which is a hot mess.
Yeah.
But most of the technologies that are out here are only made for one or two brands. And as they take on multiple brands, they actually break an infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so those how questions are sharp and they're really important because you need to understand how this is going to work for you. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned.
Yeah, a few people I've interviewed recently have said that your company can get this technology that they think is going to be great and helpful, but if their workers don't know how to use it or it's actually not helping their workflow, they're like, this was a waste of our money and time. So yeah, ask the how question up front, right?
Ask the how question up front, and also to that point too, this isn't a project that we're just going to check a box and go. You have to sell change internally in your organization. And so, you have to explain that why behind the what. Here's what's in it for you. Speak to that with them. And you've got to make sure that when you're doing that, you're handling things with the brochure instead of the blueprint, because blueprints don't sell.
No.
Right? And so that's one of the things where we tend to go wrong when we're rolling out new technologies or new experiences or new things like that, is like really lean on those blueprints. And so it's important to sell your strategies, your ideas, to storytell with data, to talk about the ROI, like all those different fun things. But I roll my eyes, but actually those are like the critical things, guys, like really to be able to get this stuff right.
So when you come to an event like this, are you thinking about what your teams need before you come, or are you learning about new technologies and then seeing if it can be implemented?
Yes.
To both?
The answer is yes. So a lot of the times when I'm at these events, I actually use it as user experience research.
Okay.
So being able to understand what problems are keeping people up at night, how are they talking about the technology? Because like I said before, you've got to be able to sell change. And if you can't understand what's top of mind and what's relevant for people, when I go to reverse engineer something that's going to help for somebody, like it's not going to stick because it might not be in the right language or it might not be in the right messaging or what have you. So I do a lot of listening and kind of problem understanding here. But then also when you're at an event, like you can get maybe a little tiny sliver of what the technology is, but it's always best to like book like a full briefing afterwards or a full demo afterwards. And so I come in with an idea of who I want to talk to, but then it's almost just letting the conversation ebb and flow and seeing like who's interesting. Actually, Matt Charney was just here and he's like, who's interesting to you? I was like, go check these guys out. He's like, who else? I was like, there's nobody else that I've been interested by that's different from like what we've seen before. But like that's an important thing too, is being able to, because trust is transitive, right? So being able to find the people who really understand this stuff and then being able to ask them, okay, what would you do if you were in my situation? I think is an important thing too.
And speaking about that with trust, I know there's a lot of talk of AI these days, of people not being happy with it, the general public, the different ways you can use it in the arts. Obviously, everybody hates it that way. But in the HR space, the talent space, the recruiting space, it's everywhere, right? Every booth here now is AI. We talk about this in every interview I use, and I love to get different people's perspectives. So I'm assuming that you are all for the new technologies that are helpful. And can you explain to those out there who may be nervous or anti what the benefits are, or how it's not a negative, at least in this space? In other spaces, we can leave that to other people.
Absolutely. So I like to start with, I have a slightly different lens on this topic, because one thing about me that you might not know is I actually fell and hit my head in 2020 and I lost all of my memory.
Oh my gosh.
So who I was, how the world worked, who my kids were, how we solved problems in recruiting, I lost all of it and I didn't actually get it back. And so I was blessed with that because I lost my design bias for how we solve problems in our world. And without the rigidness of how we had solved problems before, it allowed me, when I came across things that were new, to really seek to understand and ask like, okay, how would I go about this, right? But when it came to AI, one of the blessings was I hadn't been socially conditioned that AI was something to fear, or it was something that could take my job. So when I came across it, I was like, okay, how could this help me, right? Like I use it as a co-pilot in like all areas of life. And the thing that a lot of people forget about is they're like, oh, the AI is going to make decisions, what have you, whatever. The thing you got to remember is the most impenetrable original black box is the human brain. And so when I can make a decision, that's one way when I'm having a coffee, and another way when I have, like we've got a problem because we want consistency that is happening in these decisions, right? And so AI, when done right, can allow us white box AI, which is allowing us to see systematically how our decisions being made. Right? And so I think it's an important thing to just kind of remember and challenge ourselves. It's not necessarily about, giving this to the AI and letting it all do it for us. It's like, where can we leverage AI in the right places to be able to solve some of those problems and maybe help in ways that like we were actually opened up to more bias before.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I know it's a nerve-wracking term these days for everyone out there. And on that note, I love to always end my show opening it up to the broader audience of the job seeker, right? We're streaming on LinkedIn right now. Someone watching is definitely looking for a job out there. So I like to ask all my guests, from your experience, what you've seen, what you've been working on, what is one key tip to give someone who's looking for a job right now?
If you are looking for a job, you need to remember that LinkedIn is not a blueprint for your career, but it's a brochure for why somebody should connect with you or why somebody should consider you for your next right thing. And so it's really important, and there's a lot, you can use generative AI now to be able to help you do this, right? But you want to take a look at the different roles that you've been in and really think through, like, what was in it for somebody else? Like, what's that with them? And really build it out as the brochure and be very specific in your about me. Who are you? What do you do? What problems do you solve? What are you looking for? You want to, as Craig Fisher would say, you want to paint your store so that you're attracting the right people. And so he's standing right there. And so this is actually his book too, so I'd highly recommend it.
We're shouting out everyone's books today.
We're shouting out all the books. But I think the best lesson I would say is making sure that you're building your LinkedIn as the brochure for who you want to get to know or who you want to reach out to or what you want to do, and not the blueprint for your career.
And quickly, with LinkedIn, are you recommending to just try to connect with as many people as possible? Are you hoping people are connecting with you? Like, how are you getting those leads once your page is perfect? Or it's just do it all?
How am I getting leads? I think so. LinkedIn is like 70% engaging with people on their posts.
Okay.
30% the content you're building.
Okay.
Right? That's somebody always told me the 70-30 rule. It could have been Craig. Probably it was Craig, let's be honest. But be intentional. Ask for help. Too is like, if you know somebody, be intentional, ask for help, explain, here's what I am doing. Would you be open to an informational interview? Always close your informational interviews. Would you be willing to connect me with 2 other people within the space as I'm going through this? And like, and track it too. Like, looking for a job is a full-time job.
Oh my gosh.
And so when you can run it like a program manager of here are the outreaches I've made, here are the applications I've made, here are the things I'm interested in, what worked, what didn't, what do I change? Because you also want to sharpen kind of your bullseye of what you're looking for as well, and surround yourself with people who are also going through this at the same time, because it's also really, really alienating and it can be really hard. And so those are a couple tips and tricks that I would recommend.
I love that. Thank you so much. And that's what was really serendipitous about starting this podcast. It started about a year ago. It's right around the time of this whole job market collapse and everything. So I'm like, at least we can make people not feel alone out there, talk about these things, give tips and advice. So thank you so much, Jenny, for sitting with us today. We'll get you out of the heat. And thank you all for the Purple Acorn family watching us out there on the live stream. We will be back in just a few seconds with another interview. Stick around.
Until next time, thanks.
Hello, Purple Acorn family. It is Jada once again back here live at RecFest. We are so excited. It's a little hot, but it's beautiful. I'd rather it be hot than cold if you ask me, right? So we are taken from the desk to from the table here at RecFest with me, Jada Montemarano, with Connor and Steven today. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing all right. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So you guys are from PIN. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do, who you are, for those watching that may not know.
Sure. I think I'm going to let Steve answer this one,
Go
as
for
he's
it.
kind of the guy that built the dang thing.
Yeah,
so.
pass it back and forth.
We're an AI recruitment sourcing platform that it's like a replacement to LinkedIn Recruiter. The main part of our product is that we do the search portion really, really well through AI. And so our goal is to find you the top 100 candidates, and you accept all 100 of those candidates. So that way your funnel is loaded with everyone that is target for your role, and that everyone that's going to be down funnel is also interested in your role.
So is the platform someone that a user is using, or is it for the company who's using it, or both?
It's for the recruiter, the company, hiring manager, executive recruiter, anyone that's looking to hire basically candidates.
Amazing. So what brought you guys to RecFest today? Telling people more about PIN, learning from others. How has RecFest been so far?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, right? I mean, it's always interesting to see what's out there, and as much fun as it is to, of course, compete against our competitors, it's also fun to meet them in real life and be able to shake hands and kind of see what they're working on. So that part's been fun. We have so many amazing customers that are here as well, so definitely wanted to be out here and meet them in real life and buy them a beer and hang out a little bit. So I think it's really a combination of all those things.
So how has it been kind of introducing maybe new people to your business and what you guys do? How has that been out here today? And I guess tomorrow too, we have another full day.
Yeah, I mean, that part's been the most fun, I think. We're a slightly smaller, tech startup, and so we don't have a massive marketing budget. And, it's pretty cool to see people's faces light up when they see something new for the first time. And they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea something like this existed. We've just been doing it the same way for, the last 10 years, and there's been ROI there, but maybe not as much as there could have been. So we've had a lot of fun kind of showing people the light today a bit.
That's so amazing. And what is your booth doing anything in particular for anyone out there that may want to know? We were talking about how there's hats, you said beer, there's a fan.
Yeah, the fan is such a good call.
I've literally been in between interviews.
We have been doing a pretty good job of just about buying every person a drink that comes by our booth.
I love that.
Cold beer.
We're posted up right across from the bar.
All right, I guess that's where I'm going next, guys.
Yeah, shout out to Raven, the bartender, who's been hooking it up all day for
love
us.
That.
But yeah, that part's been pretty fun. So I guess if you're here and you want a drink, come by the PIN booth and we'll hook it up for you.
So something we talk a lot about on my show, obviously, is the growth of AI, which you guys are in, which your company is. So can you explain to those watching who may have a little bit of apprehension to AI, just in general, right? In this recruiting HR space, it's totally different. So from your experience and the positive ways you guys are using it, what can we tell the viewers today about why it's not so scary, or why it could be a good thing?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, with a lot of AI, you don't know where to start, right? And it's like any new technology, it's you feel like you got to climb a mountain in order to figure it out. And that can be scary. And we hear a lot of horror stories, and we see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn about oh, have you seen this AI created message or something like that? And so, I think you hear a lot of the negative connotations of AI. I think what we've done a pretty good job of is creating our own world that people can come visit and feel like all the corners are almost rounded for them, right? They don't need to feel like they're utilizing AI in a way where they're they have to become some brain surgeon to figure it out. We've really just created this platform where someone can show up very quickly, find value, and kind of sit back and say, that was easy.
Yeah.
That wasn't so bad, right? It's almost like getting a shot at the doctor. That's kind of how we want people
Yeah, you want to make it easy.
Yeah, exactly right.
And can you explain in some ways how you are making it easier for people? What are those specific tools that people can expect from PIN?
Yeah, I think the big one is people have a hard time prompting. I mean, there's entire companies that their entire world is just helping people prompt better. I personally am bad at it, and Steve gets mad at me because I work at an AI company. But I think what's cool about PIN is we have so many stopgaps built into it that even if you know nothing about AI or prompting or building out an approach like that, you can show up with a job description and just say, hey, PIN, go. Right, and we use all of our knowledge in this space that we've accrued over the last decade of building for recruiters to be able to bring it all in, build our own pretty awesome filtration, and provide rockstar candidates.
And we talk a lot about, when we're talking about AI, the loss of humanity, right? And HR and recruiting has always been human, right? Human resources, the business of people. But in all of my interviews and in speaking with everybody, there's the mundane aspects
Yeah.
And then there's the people aspects, right? So are you guys helping with those mundane aspects? Is that what is really the best part about it? Do you think that the people and the humanity also need to still be there?
That's a really good question. I actually just gave a talk about this on Benjamin Mena's AI Summit. If you know, shout out to Ben if you're here. I mean, he's in France, so he's definitely sleeping. I think our stance on this is there's human judgment and there's human action, right? If there's a moment where human judgment comes into play, it should remain that way, right? And I think we see this a lot now emerging with AI of like, how can we have AI, accept or decline an incoming resume or something like that? Like, in my opinion, that should probably be a person making the call, right? And that's why we're having all these companies creating AI task forces and all that. If it's human action, to your point, like the mundane tasks, like do I have to send this person a follow-up or like shoot them a connection request, like that just takes forever. Automate the absolute heck out of it, right? And so I think what we do a really good job of here at PIN is teeing folks up to feel like they're like the Tony Stark and the Iron Man suit, right? Like they have the human ability, but they're 10xing their own power utilizing our system here at PIN.
I love that description of just like it's an enhancement to what you're already doing, right? It's not taking over, it's just enhancing and hopefully making it a little bit easier. I was just speaking with Emily, who doesn't use any technology. She's in nurse recruiting when everything is still old school. And she's like, I had 50 openings and I had 300 applications to go through. And she's like, I had to physically go through them myself. So I can understand in those aspects, right? It makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think for inbound applicants, it's not really what we touch over here at PIN. We're more of like a passive outbound sourcing platform. But there's optimizations all over the place, right? I mean, I think half that battle is really more so changing the way that we can like one-click apply to like 5,000 jobs at once. Like, I don't know if our friends at LinkedIn are watching, but like maybe don't do that anymore because it's putting all the strain on the hiring managers and the recruiters, right? I mean, like who is able to go through 5,000 inbound applicants when they post a really attractive job on a Friday? They wake up on Monday and their life is horrible. Like we need to change something there.
I know the job industry right now, we were talking about that a little bit before, is wild these days. So I always like to talk on my show about what tips we could give the job seekers out there, right? We have a lot of working professionals in the space that watch our show, but we also have people who are on LinkedIn right now looking for jobs. So from each of you, I want to get 2 tips. What is one tip for someone looking for a job right now that you could give them just based on all of your experience on the back end of hiring?
Yeah, I think like the main one, because of like the world of AI and all these different tools that can help us get work done faster, I'd say like be more like a consultant, right? Be like a jack of all trades. Be someone who can problem solve really, really well, because ultimately there's going to be more tools that get developed, and that with AI you're going to need to be able to like say like, okay, cool, I've been presented a problem. I need to be able to comprehend all the different like tools in my tool belt and be able to utilize them to get the job done, right? So in order to compete in this like job market, the key thing is to basically be a problem solver. Like don't be like hone yourself into one very, very specific niche and try to like do that very like well. That's one aspect. So like for us, like I've been in engineering for like 20 years, right? I've gotten to a realm where I'm already like probably like top of the top. Like I'm probably like for like younger job seekers, the goal is to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
Top of the top. Yeah. Good for you.
I want to be top of the top.
No, I mean, trust me, top of the top. I'm going to take more of a sales approach to this, as I am kind of the sales guy.
That's why I like both tips.
I think if I was a job seeker right now, like the advice that I would want is how can I show my value without necessarily even being in the talent funnel already. Something that I always tell younger salespeople is like, go the extra mile. Like if you're reaching out to a sales leader for this job, cold call them. Right? Get on the phone. And even if you're not a salesperson, it doesn't really matter. You want to be the person that can come in and kick ass right away. Sorry, I don't know if that's... and I think... Yeah, sorry, LinkedIn. I think an easy way to think about it is like, how can I jump in and feel like the hiring manager that's about to pick me up won't have to worry about me.
Yeah.
Right. So like, how can I step into the very first interview and say, hey, I researched your company. I know you're working on this project. I actually did a case study on it. Here's my 3 thoughts on exactly what you're doing well. And here's one that I think might need a little bit of tweaking. If I'm the hiring manager for that,
you're like, sold.
I'm like, this person is, I don't have to worry about them at all. Right. And that's, I think, the differentiator now. So 1, market yourself better, go the extra mile. call someone out of the blue, right? And then also just be locked into that first meeting.
Above and beyond.
Yeah, you need to these days, especially when there's so many applicants and so few jobs. And did you guys hear that? They work in AI technology and they still say cold call, human interaction, you still need it, right? We still need it these days. It still is important. That's a lot of tips I get from a lot of you guys in the industry is you still need to network, you still need to door knock, you still need to reach out, you still need to have that person connection along with the technology, right?
Of course, of course.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today here at Purple Acorn, live from RecFest. My name is Jada. We took from the desk out of the office and into RecFest today. We are going to be live a little bit longer. We are wrapping up the end of the day, so stick around. I think we have 1 or 2 more interviews left for you guys, and of course, we will be back tomorrow right here at RecFest all day, so stick around, and thanks everyone for watching.